Alright, hello Okay, let's redo that. Hello everyone and welcome.
So we're just gonna cancel the stream? We're
Yes,
gonna start over in the stream, start it again?
Yes, shut it down, shut it down! Anyway, hello everyone and welcome to another Weekend at Loka's. I am LokaCola as usual, and since he has already announced his presence, I'm also joined by Prentice1215.
Star Wars! I'm so hyped right now.
Yes, yes. So there hasn't been a well, neither stream or videos in a while. I've really just a short story. I've been super busy, so yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. Yeah, as you can see, we're playing some Star Wars Battlefront 2 for a couple of reasons. One, we very much enjoyed this game. Two, I still haven't gotten around to stream some Capital Supremacy, which we're gonna play a bit of today, and I might as well matchmake. And third, as I have put in the title for this stream, it's a Star Wars Celebration 2019 special, since, well, that's happening right now. It is happening this entire weekend. So it's all just Star Wars,
Chances are
Star
you've got
Wars.
another tab open, and chances are you've got another tab open and you're watching this simultaneously as you're watching the Star Wars show live stream.
That's very possible. I don't do that, actually, but that's
Yeah,
not...
I'd find it confusing, but I know some people do that.
Yeah, I don't know how they can multitask like that. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit, or potentially a lot. I don't actually know about not all of the stuff that's come out from Star Wars. One, the Clone Wars panel hasn't happened yet, so we
Unfortunately.
won't be able, yeah, so we won't be able to...
Couple hours left, though. Couple hours left.
Yeah, so we won't be able to talk about that, but we're definitely hyped. Oh, of course we play as the droids. It was like I was trying to say droids and drones at the same time.
Well, droids are sort of kind of drones, so...
Yeah, I suppose.
So do we just want to start with when Celebration began the other day, and just kind of go through the panels in chronological order?
Before that, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna go in a super long tirade about Capital Supremacy, but I just want to just say a little bit about it, since I haven't, as I said earlier, I haven't streamed it. I think it's a great game mode. It's really fun. If you haven't played Battlefront 2 since it came out, now's definitely the time to get back to it. It's definitely
100%.
The best game mode right now, I would say. It had its issues at launch, but it seems to have been fixed, and the AI is back and everything. Just go download this update right now. That's all I wanted to say. So yeah, we can continue with the celebration stuff.
And it goes quiet as I'm focusing on trying to snipe clone troopers.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Whoa, 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 whoa! Here they come! 41st Ranger Platoon. Why are there shock troopers on Geonosis? This hurts my brain.
and riveting gameplay from my part as I'm simultaneously putting links on places and such.
The clones are taking control of a command post.
So we will get to Star Wars Celebration momentarily, folks. I suppose one thing I could add about the capital supremacy mode in the meantime is boy do I get flashbacks to Frontlines when that launched in Battlefield 1, because those two game modes have one thing in common. They don't have a timer, which means matches can potentially go on for a very long time.
And they often do.
Yes.
See, I think by the time Frontlines were added to Battlefield 1, I had already stopped playing by that point.
Yeah, I think so. I don't even remember when I got the game. It might have been out by then, but it took a little bit before I purchased the premium pass.
Granted, I still had the game. I could. Oh, what a place to spawn in on! It's like Anakin just right there.
Although, come to think of it, they might actually have added the timer to Frontlines by the time I got the premium pass, which means I don't actually have flashbacks to that. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, it's dead. On.
We are doing terribly right now.
Oh boy, yes. Yeah, we got one reinforcement point.
A whole one reinforcement ticket.
And I'm firing everywhere. Oh, that was just Grievous. Ah! And oh yeah, they added the commander droid and the ARC Trooper. So that's all also cool. The new infiltrator.
I never knew how much I wanted new reinforcements to this game until they added them. I'm like, oh, yeah. These are actually really great. Generals Kenobi and Skywalker are over.
Oh boy.
Capturing one of our objectives.
Hey, grenade kill. Don't usually get them.
Oh.
This one.
Ow. Yep, there's Obi-Wan.
Oh boy. Yeah, I see him. And of course my...
That's right when I try to spawn. There we go.
And of course my controller needs to be recharged when I'm streaming. Ooh, speaking of...
There we go.
Infiltrators and commander droids. Oh, that's Anakin. That's bad.
That's very bad. Oh no! Man, the range on that Retribution. Oh, he's a level 37 Anakin. No wonder.
Oh,
and he's got all the purple.
Well, that was a waste of battle points. Let's try
pink,
that again.
Whatever color you want to call that.
Oh.
Got enough I've got enough battle points to get the heroes, but at this point, we're going to be going up to the capital ship any minute now. So
Yeah.
why bother?
Enemy forces have started to capture a command post.
And my aim. Oh, aiming is all over the place.
Another good thing about this mode is that it's so engaging that even when you're supposed to be talking about Star Wars Celebration, you stop just to focus on the gameplay.
I was
Does that just dawn on me? I'm like, oh, aren't we supposed to be talking about that? And here we are, just enjoying the game.
Yeah. That is I would say a. Shoot, I don't have the right word. I think that's a good selling point for this game mode.
Yeah. It's terrible for streamers because it's so...
Whoa.
Anakin's flanking around. It's the rise of Skywalker.
Oh no. Speaking of
Segue,
the rise
segue.
of... yeah, speaking of the rise of Skywalker. That was the first thing that came out of Celebration, am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we had the we had a panel for Star Wars Episode 9, at this point also known as Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, also known as...
Which some people for some reason keep calling Rise of the Skywalker.
Huh, that's the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've been seeing it a couple of places online. It's like what the title Rise of the Skywalker really means. It's like, wow, you guys can't even get the title right. So it's like I can't wait to see your explanation.
Meanwhile...
Granted, I think Rise of the Skywalker would be a better title, but it's like, okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I always get confused whether it's The Rise of Skywalker or just Rise of Skywalker.
And that's another thing. I've also been seeing a lot of people. Well, and that's also something is like I think you should take the out of the title completely, because like I think The Rise of Skywalker is a good title. A lot of people have been calling it a weak title. It's like, but we haven't seen the movie yet. It's like that. It could be. I mean, that could really mean something after we don't know at this point. So it's like I don't think we can call it a weak title. Now I think it's a little lengthy. I think if we shortened it to Rise of Skywalker, then it would be better. But as it is, The Rise of Skywalker, very interesting title. I'm very intrigued. This is also the first sequel teaser, I'll say, that has gotten me excited from word go, because previously I've been very wary behind us.
Yeah.
Very wary of whenever the other teasers have come out, because let's remember all the way back to 2015. Actually, not even 2015, 2014. So a whole year before the Force Awakens came out in theaters, they actually had a short teaser trailer. It was only like 45 seconds long. It was short, but it showcased our new characters. It showed off Finn, because that was the first thing we saw. We had that narration from who we now know as Snoke, him saying that there's been an awakening in the Force. Have you felt it? And then we see Finn pop up after the TIE fighter crash, and then we see I think Rey in the desert after that, and Poe in the X-wing, and BB-8 rolling around. We saw all of them, and then of course Kylo Ren in the forest on Starkiller, igniting his, at the time, very controversial if anyone remembers this, very controversial
yeah,
lightsaber. Yeah. and so, I was not a fan. I was not a fan of that teaser at all, because because I think one of the reasons is that it was just so short. It's like you showed off just the new. Besides the fact that we do see our new characters, you showed off nothing. So it's like I didn't like it. It's like there's a teaser trailer and then there's a tease-er trailer. So I didn't really like it. I didn't like the crossguard lightsaber, which I've come to accept. I didn't like BB-8. Oh, Yoda, we got a Yoda. I didn't like BB-8 because I thought he was a stupid CG monstrosity. But then at Celebration that year, then they showed off that BB-8 was in fact a physical puppet prop that actually could roll around, and he wasn't just a CG thing. Oh dear, I'm stuck outside.
Oh no.
And so, when BB-8 rolled onto the stage at Celebration 2015, I was sold on BB-8 at that, and I'm like, okay, no, that's really cool. So at that same Celebration, at that panel where they unveiled BB-8, we did also get our second teaser for The Force Awakens. This one didn't really sell me on the film either, just because it was a lot of vagaries and stuff still. And then the moment everyone cheered for at the end that I was really just kind of about, which was of course the Chewie we're home moment.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't remember what my reaction were. I think it was I think it was one of those.
Oh, for Pete's sake!
Yeah, I saw that. Oh! Now Skywalker got me, and I'm falling down.
That was a waste of credits.
Yeah. Anyway, that I honestly don't. As I said, I honestly don't remember what my initial thoughts on the Force Awakens teaser was. It was most likely one of those moments where I was like, I'm not like super excited about this or anything, but I'm interested just because it's Star Wars. I think it was one of those moments. And then I don't remember which trailer it was that made me actually hype for the movie. But
for me, it was definitely the last one. It was definitely the last one for me where we actually got where we saw the Falcon flying around on Jakku amongst the Star Destroyer wreckage, and then it premiered during like a Monday Night Football game or something, I remember, and it was September-ish. It was somewhat later in the year, close to when the movie was going to come out. I remember that much. And so then that was the one that sold me, just because it actually felt like there was substance in what we saw, and it wasn't just a bunch of random images. It's like, okay, I can actually sort of kind of see that there's a story to this movie. It's not just a bunch of explosions and lightsabers.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that one sold me. So then let's fast forward to Rogue One. I was pretty much sold on that movie from the get-go. I had some wariness about it, because it's like, oh, we're doing the Death Star again. Is that the only thing Disney can do when it comes to Star Wars, is the Death Star? But Rogue One, I was pretty much sold on from the word go, and then when it came out, it quickly became my favorite Star Wars movie. So then let's go to, I'm not even sure I want to say the words.
Oh boy.
But then let's fast forward to The Last Jedi.
Oh no! What have you done? You have summoned the angry internet mob.
Uh-huh. Oh, what? What? They canceled my charge! How did they cancel my charge? That was stupid.
What?
Oh well, Grievous level 23. Well, that was a short round. So, Sports The Last Jedi. That first teaser for The Last Jedi didn't really do it for me either. Just because, again, it was full of vagaries and stuff. And then it's like, it's time for the Jedi to win. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, I was intrigued by that, but I was still kind of wary. I wasn't exactly, oh, what a surprise. Someone playing Anakin Skywalker got first place. Yeah. What a shock. So I was still kind of very much on the fence. Then, of course, then the trade came out closer to the release, and again that was what sold me, because I feel because it's just that those teaser trailers, I feel like there just wasn't enough in those to really get me anyway excited, besides the fact that it's more Star Wars, hooray. And then The Last Jedi came out, and then, well, it was The Last Jedi. Take that how you will. Because it's, you like it or not, you know the reaction it has caused. So it's like, just saying the words The Last Jedi has a whole other connotation to you're not just, when you say The Last Jedi, you're not usually just referring to the film. You're referring to what it caused, which was a whole bunch of outrage. So that rages on to this day. I made the comparison yesterday because it just hit me, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a pretty apt comparison. I don't know why it's taken me a while to figure this out, but The Last Jedi is the film equivalent of the blue and gold dress debacle from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where everyone sees one thing. And because and the scientists actually deduce that that because of different factors and variables, that you are actually incapable of seeing it the other way unless they do a whole bunch of digital trickery on it with filters and stuff that then trick your eyes. It's like, for whatever reason, you can only see that image one way. Same thing with the what was the audio one, the Laurel or Yanny audio clip thing. Where depending on how, it's the same way, depending on how your ears pick up frequency, you will be hearing that one way or the other, unless they edit the original audio clip to change the pitch to where you will actually hear it differently. So The Last Jedi, to me anyway, is exactly like those two things, because the things I love about the film are some of the things I love about that movie are the things that people despise and think has ruined Star Wars for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
So, and then the things that I don't like about The Last Jedi, people think are the things that saved that movie and were great about it. So it's like, no matter which way you think, you're always objectively wrong. So, I like the movie fine. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. I think it's fine. But another part of me doesn't like the film at all because of the outrage it has caused, and just the fan and then the division online and all the nonsense it has caused just for that. I mean, it's honestly, it's actually kind of worse than the prequels. Because people don't call you an idiot and other names for liking the prequels. I don't think they did back then. I don't think they do now. But if you like The Last Jedi, then the people that hate The Last Jedi will tear you to shreds. And if you don't like The Last Jedi, then the people that like The Last Jedi will tear you to shreds. There's no winning. There is no winning, and I hate that.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, they have a T-shirt at Star Wars Celebration, which actually I kind of wish. One of the reasons of course, I wish I was there. But another reason I wish I was there is that so I could buy this T-shirt. I don't know. They may be selling it standalone later on, and actually, I kind of hope they do. There's a T-shirt that says "Star Wars is for everyone." I will always maintain that. Of course, even then, I'm sort of a hypocrite on that because, so yesterday, TTV recorded a podcast on recent events. So they talked about Christian Faber's cryptic Bionicle Instagram posts, and then they also talked about They only talked about Episode 9 at that point because the Fallen Order panel had not happened yet, so that was really the only news that had come out at that time. But of course they didn't. So when I say that they talked about Episode 9, they didn't talk about Episode 9. They talked about Episode 9 for about 5 minutes and then ranted against The Last Jedi again. And so
as expected.
And so, yeah, as expected. So, and I was actually kind of getting angry with them because some of the things they were saying are things that I vehemently disagreed on. And I was just thinking to myself, they don't know, but these are people. I'm like, who are they? Who are they to be saying these things when they don't know the difference between a Volptex and a Rancor? It's like, it's like they. I mean, they wouldn't know the difference between a Delta 7 and an RZ-2 A-wing. It's like they all these different things that I have this encyclopedic at this point knowledge on. They have no clue. It was like if I were to say, "Hey, who are the Force priestesses?" They would have no clue whatsoever. They would be, they would be like, "Oh," and I would have to go on a half-hour little. I would have to go and explain it to them, or say, "Go watch Clone Wars." It's like there's so much stuff they don't know. So part of me was going, "Who are they to be saying that all these things in The Last Jedi were bad and weren't Star Wars when they don't know the majority of Star Wars?" So it's like, so even I sort of have some interesting opinions on that. But at the end of the day, it is still for everyone.
Yeah.
Where'd Boss go? Oh, there he is. It is still for everyone. It's like that. Sure, a person that only watches the movies may not be able to understand some of the intricacies and more in-depth things of the canon, and so then they will be wrong on some things. It's still there for them to enjoy if they want to enjoy it, whatever form that takes. It's like, I don't know. Maybe someone can only enjoy the original trilogy, and they can find no joy in anything else outside of that.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's there for you to enjoy, though, if you want to enjoy it. Maybe someone can only watch, because I've seen this opinion in a couple places. Some people can only watch Clone Wars. Anything else Star Wars to them is just silly and stupid. It's like, okay, that's fine. It's there for you to enjoy it. You don't have to. You don't have to. That's the thing. So it's like, that's another reason why I sort of kind of don't like The Last Jedi, is because people are taking all these stances on it. It's like, well, if you think this way, then you're not a true Star Wars fan.
Yeah. Yeah,
and even and as I was saying, even I'm somewhat guilty of that. So so that irritates me even more. So.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of times I've seen people or like that have kind of been going, like the true Star Wars fans, like we true Star Wars fanatics, we hate The Last Jedi, and I'm like, are you even in a position to speak for not just the entirety of the Star Wars fandom, but also a majority of them? Because it seems to be split pretty evenly.
Yeah.
It's just that the
no. Actually, I've got a different opinion on that. I don't think it's split evenly one way or the other. I think there is a very, very vocal minority on both sides, and the actual vast majority are average, because that movie made money. It made lots of money, and the vast majority of people. Now, maybe within Star Wars fans, there is a pretty even divide, but within the vast majority of people that went and watched that movie, I think the very vast majority of them like it just fine. They don't care one way or the other. Like my parents, and like my dad is way more into it than my mom is, for instance, because like he's seen most of Clone Wars, he's seen most of Rebels. And he knows who characters like Ahsoka are and stuff like that. He knows the intricacies of how Darth Maul survived his duel with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in the Phantom Menace. He knows that stuff. My mom knows that stuff because we tell her about it, but she hasn't watched the episodes. She just kind of, most of the knowledge she has is what we've told her. But then, if there's a new movie in theaters, she'll go and see it with us 100%. Well, the episodic number. She'll eventually see the other movies, but she won't always go. And it's like she didn't see Solo until it was out on Blu-ray, but she still loved it. She still ended up loving it, and she's like, why did people not like this movie? It's like, well, that's a whole nother topic of discussion. Why didn't people like Solo? Yeah. So let's move on for that and get back to Celebration and kind of. Solo was another one. It's like, I was instantly sold on Rogue One, but Solo I was very trepidatious about at first, because probably rightfully so, because out of almost any Star Wars movie, it's probably had the most public creative difficulties in its production. Because the fact that Lord and Miller were removed as directors of that film, that made big headlines, and everyone knew about that. Because when things on the internet are saying the directors of the Lego Movie are being removed from a Star Wars project, everyone pays attention.
Yep.
Whether they be a hardcore Star Wars fan, or if they're just a person that enjoys going to the movies every so often. They pay attention to that, because admittedly, that's a big headline.
Yep.
That's a big, juicy headline. So, because of that, for the longest time, I thoroughly believed that film was going to get pushed to December of 2018. I honestly thought that film was going to get pushed. Now, I did kind of figure out as time went on, I was like, actually, even if it needed to be pushed, there's no way they could have, because of their partnerships with all the merchandise. Because what would Lego do? What would they had all those Solo sets ready to go when it was supposed to be ready to go, but then they said, hey, this movie's had problems, we need to push it back 6 months. What were they going to do? I don't think they would have had a wave of toys ready to go. Because possibly they could have put out the sub. Well, no, they could not, because even then, that summer wave of 2018 sets had Solo stuff in it. There was more Solo stuff in that summer wave, so they couldn't have just released that one early. So it's like Lego just would not have released a wave of Lego Star Wars that spring, which is like that would have been the first time they wouldn't have done that since 1998, when Lego Star Wars didn't exist. So it's like, it's things like that really kind of, I thought that I didn't think of at the time, that I've since thought, oh, yeah, they probably couldn't have pushed that because of things like that, unless they were fine with the toys just being released 6 months prior to the movie being out, or longer. Because those toys came out like late April, early May, so from then to December, that's longer than 6 months. But anyway, so yeah, when that, because the first teaser trailer we got for Solo wasn't even a teaser trailer. It was a Super Bowl ad. Oh yeah, ARC Trooper, no, amen. It was a Super Bowl ad. So
I'm just trying to remember which one they was there a Super Bowl for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom as well?
Whoa!
At the same time?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because that was coming out that summer as well.
Okay, yeah, then I know which. Well, I don't remember the exact contents of the teaser, but if I remember correctly, I did like that one, or at least I was positively surprised.
Yeah, I was still very trepidatious because of the troubled development of that film, but overall I was actually really kind of happy with that one, honestly I think it's a good TV spot. If that film had not had the troubles that it had, then I think I really would have been genuinely really excited for it, because that was just a really well cut TV spot, with using the clicks and stuff of warming up the Falcon and all of that to go with the music, and then Han saying, "I'm going to be a pilot, best in the galaxy." We get to see a little bit of the Falcon and all that stuff. I think that all of that was just really cut together really well. But even as good as it was, I was still very trepidatious because like we've heard all of these things, so you know we've heard all of these things about it.
Yeah.
So it's like it seems like it's still kind of going to be a bit of a disaster of a movie.
Which thankfully it wasn't.
Ah, yeah, dang it. It wasn't, thankfully. But so as kind of following the pattern, then the first actual trailer, because that's the thing with Star Wars films nowadays, we're not getting because with Avengers, with all these Marvel films and most movies, they get a teaser and 2 regular trailers. Star Wars movies will get a teaser and we get a trailer. There's no multiple. There's no Dooku.
Yep.
There's no multiples. Oh, yeah. Grenades. So. Oh, get him, Loka.
Oh.
Oh no! Ah, I've been shocked. Oh, Anakin and Obi-Wan just messed him up. So that's such a cool thing to see. Is that happened? That happened when I was playing as the droids. The Republic was a couple days ago. The Republic was steamrolling us, but Anakin and Obi-Wan were leading the charge against us with 501st and almost. Oh. There were a couple Wolfpack troopers here and there, and other legions, but the majority of the troopers were 501st and 212th. And so to see all of them rushing forward, even though they were steamrolling us, I was thinking to myself, this is so cool, as it was happening, so I didn't really mind. It was slightly annoying that it's like, oh man, we were just getting steamrolled, but it's like, that's still really cool to see all these 501st and 212 troopers following Anakin and Obi-Wan into the objective room. Finally getting up to the present day. So now we've got the first teaser for the Rise of Skywalker. I feel like I'm legitimately hyped.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to tell a little story because I saw that they were doing the episode 9 panel, and I was like, ooh, they're probably gonna show the trailer and reveal the title and everything, so I'm gonna jump on board. And well, they start with the panel. They what's his name? Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. He's hosting, and then both J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy shows up. And they talk a little bit, and then they bring out, if I remember correctly, they brought out Billy D. Williams.
Anthony Daniels was first, then Billy D.
Oh yeah, you're right. I don't know why I forgot that, because I saw that live. So yeah, Anthony Daniels, then Billy D. Williams, then they brought up actors for
the rest of the main cast. You know, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, etc.
Yeah, and I'm getting hyped. I'm like, okay, just show us the trailer. And as
gotta wait till the end, buddy.
Yeah, and as John Boyega is talking, suddenly I have dinner. So I'm like, oh. They do seem to be taking their time. They're talking a whole bunch. Maybe I'll be able to get back to when they show the trailer in time. And I have my dinner. And when I'm done, I essentially rush to my room. I open the door, and the first thing I see is the Star Wars logo. As the
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, no! I missed
it! That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
well, there's the title. Now you can scrub back through and see what was actually in the trailer.
So I'm like, oh no, that's annoying. But of course the trailer was uploaded and everything, but still it would have been cool to see that live. But Yeah. So let's actually talk about the trailer.
Yeah. So I'm sure everyone and their mother has seen it at this point. We'll kind of just from memory, because it's actually an easy trailer to go through from memory because while I say this is the first one that this is the first teaser trailer in my opinion that actually has stuff of substance in it. There's actually not a lot in there. Yeah. Because like half of it is just Rey in the desert. Oh, game chugged.
Oh.
That's a weird thing with Capital Supremacy. Sometimes it'll chug a little bit.
Yeah.
So it starts with the Lucasfilm logo and you can hear heavy breathing. To anyone that, it was pretty. Some people I saw were immediately go, "Oh, who's that breathing?" I'm like, "It's obviously Rey. It sounds just like Daisy Ridley." So I don't know why you're having to question things. Sometimes I think people just don't have aren't. Oh my gosh, my head just got taken clean off. I just don't think people have as finely tuned ears for things like that as me. Granted, I'm the same person that can easily identify whenever D. Bradley Baker is playing a background character and a clone right next to each other in the Clone Troopers, or in the Clone Wars. It's like, oh, D. Bradley Baker's playing this clone trooper, proximity mine, and now he's playing this random Rhodian in the background. It's like, oh, here's James Arnold Taylor arguing with Obi-Wan Kenobi, so he's arguing with himself. Like, I can detect stuff like that, so sometimes I forget that some people just can't for whatever reason. It's like, I guess they haven't spent enough time listening to voice actors talk off camera, so to speak, because they're voice actors, so to speak. Whatever. Sometimes I forget that, but so Rey is breathing heavily in the desert, and we see that she's standing there, and then we hear, and this was another thing. I saw people questioning who was narrating. I'm like, that was Luke, obviously, because it's like even if you don't for whatever random reason recognize the voice, you can tell by the things he's saying who it's obviously supposed to be. As he says, "We've passed on everything we know. 1,000 generations live in you now." And so then, going back to A New Hope, for 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights are guardians of peace and justice in the Republic, for the dark tides, for the Empire. So, obviously, that's a callback to what Ben Kenobi was saying in A New Hope to Luke. And so now Rey is, at this point, the legacy of the Jedi Order. She is the Last Jedi, as we saw at the end of The Last Jedi. Luke was the Last Jedi, but now he has passed on that mantle to Rey. So, Rey is standing in the desert, and there is a new TIE interceptor racing toward her. A lot of people were calling it Kylo Ren's TIE fighter. It's not, actually. The cockpit is different. So either it's a new form of TIE interceptor that we have yet to see, or it is the TIE fighter for Kylo Ren, but it's a new version, different from what we saw in Episode 8. Because if you compare them side by side, they are different, even though the wings are very, very similar. So and that was another thing. We didn't actually see Kylo piloting it. A lot of people assumed that was him with the gloves, and I think it's a fair assumption. But knowing JJ, he might be trying to fake us out, and it might be some plot stuff going on. So all we know is that someone with black gloves is piloting that TIE fighter and is flying it toward Rey, who runs and ignites Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, which has been repaired since the end of The Last Jedi, because of course at the end of that film it was broken in a forced tug of war with Kylo Ren. So now it has now been repaired, and actually, I think I like the look of the repaired version of this saber better than the original, which is I don't know if it's blasphemous to say, considering this is the original lightsaber we saw. It was Anakin's lightsaber. It was gifted to Luke by Obi-Wan. So I mean, it is the first lightsaber we ever saw in Star Wars. But the extra black that's been added to it, I kind of like that. I kind of really dig that design. So of course, as Rey, so we see that Rey has backflipped over has backflipped over this TIE fighter, and something that I thought was super cool. That was super cool. Was that the tagline as it's saying? That as we're seeing her starting to run, it says every generation has a legend. For those that have either gone back to watch it or that were there in 1999, or not, I guess it probably would have been late in 1998. The original teaser trailer for The Phantom Menace opened with the tagline, "Every generation has a legend." So the fact that they're reusing that tagline now for Episode 9, I think that's awesome. It's also very fitting since this is now the 20th anniversary of The Phantom Menace. So
that, and the fact that Episode 9 is kind of supposed to be the
into the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, a lot of cool things going on just there in those opening moments. With no, it's like, is it wrong? Is it wrong that I think that the coolest thing about that is the fact that they're alluding to the Phantom Menace and not the fact that Rey's doing this awesome backflip over a TIE fighter?
No, I think that's fair.
So yeah. So then we see some typical Star Wars things. We see a spaceship coming in. To a planet that has this civilization on what looks like some cliffs. Eagle-Eye people on the internet have noted that it is a very, very similar ship design to the one we saw in the objectives are armed, to the one we saw in The Force Awakens during Rey's Force Vision, where young Rey was being led away by Unkar Plutt and that ship was flying away and she was yelling, "No, come back!" Whoa! Commando droid! Ah, Dooku! That's worse than a commando droid. So that's opening. So again, the people that don't like The Last Jedi and didn't like the idea of Rey being a nobody, they're thinking, oh, is this going to be J.J. Abrams retconning The Last Jedi and saying her parents really were somebody and Kylo was lying and then this is them?
Yeah.
So since it is a similar ship design, etc., etc.
Yeah, I can see that happen.
So time will tell. We'll find out.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be
too
mad about it, since, I mean, the whole Rey is because a lot of people were theorizing about, maybe Rey is related to this character, i.e. the Skywalker, or maybe even Obi-Wan Kenobi, or
that's so dumb.
Yeah. My standpoint has always been, I really hope she's not related to any famous Star Wars character, because that would just sort of mean that in order to be like
anyone
a
important, you have to be related to this family.
Yeah, and
the only reason we think that nowadays is because of the twist in Empire. Yeah. Because in A New Hope, Luke was a nobody. It wasn't until a film later where we realized, oh wait, he's related to someone very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So, of course, we always knew that Luke's father was a Jedi Knight. So of course that's how. So of course his force sensitivity was passed down. But yeah, the idea of just how important Luke's father was not something that was, at that point, wasn't really even that explored until the prequel trilogy. Yeah. So it's like the idea that, and as far and Luke, and of course Luke didn't discover this stuff until later. So in A New Hope and all that stuff, to him, A New Hope still works as a nobody becoming a somebody story because of the fact that he thinks he's a nobody. So there's all stuff like that to consider. So as the trailer goes, sorry.
I was just going to say that that whole kind of twist, if you will, in The Last Jedi, where Kylo is like, your parents are nobody, actually made me happy. At the same time, I would I don't actually mind if Episode 9 quote retcons it, because I think that could pretty easily be just Kylo Ren just throwing her off and trying, and that's completely fine. I just hope she isn't related to Skywalker or Kenobi or like anything like really important like that. But I don't have any problems with J.J. Abrams maybe like, okay, no, I'm still going with whatever original plan I had when he.
Well, and then there's the question of if he even had a plan to begin with.
That's true. That's true.
Because I mean, it's pretty clear he didn't because if he had really a plan, that Episode 8 would have been his treatment for Episode 8 wouldn't have been completely thrown out because he had a treatment. True. Because a treatment is different from a full-on script. Here's the script. Here's the things that's going to happen. A treatment is essentially just a rough idea of what could happen. It's like how many treatments for movies exist in perpetuity before a finalized one comes about, and then that's the version that gets made.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think. There's some movie that I think it was if I'm remembering correctly, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That went through like 6 or 7 different story treatments before they landed on the idea of the Crystal Skull and finalized that into what we got in 2008. And of course that that was all between the years of 1989 and 2008 that it took them to work on that.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, George Lucas, for aliens in Indiana Jones.
I mean, I see that's something that nowadays, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is something that is just kind of swept under the rug.
Yeah.
It's like that. The prequels we sort of kind of have to talk about because of how integral they are to Star Wars.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, whenever people talk about Indiana Jones, it's just kind of become we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
At this point, we just don't talk about it. So I like the idea of aliens being in Indiana Jones just fine, because considering that movie takes place in the 50s and how much Spielberg and Lucas love that era of cinema because that's the era of cinema they grew up with things like the original, so that's partially where their idea for Indiana Jones came from in the first place was basing it off of these old film serials from then and before and stuff like that. And so then it's like the 50s are notable for having a whole bunch of low budget bad sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
It's like some of the most notorious and infamous bad movies of all time are bad sci-fi movies from that era, and it's only movies like The Room that have since shifted pop culture away from remembering those films. But even then, things like Mystery Science Theater still remember that, and still make fun of them. It's like, look just how bad this is. I mean, look, the planet, you can see the string this planet is dangling from. These special effects are horrible. So it's like, the fact that Lucas and Spielberg were trying to, whether or not you think they succeeded, but trying to pay tribute to that is the reason I'm fine with that twist at the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's like, okay, I see what you guys are going for. I'm fine with it.
Considering they also have like ghosts that melts the faces off from Nazis. I mean, it's not like it's a super big shift in tone.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Some people didn't like it because they thought it was too fantastical. And
I suppose that's
okay,
fair.
so I guess we're just gonna. Is it the fact that Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade are based off based off of the Bible and Christian mythology? There's no other. It's not really a better word for it. Even though I am a Christian, I do believe those stories. It's like, I guess mythology is probably the best word to call it, even though that feels a little weird, because mythology usually refers to something that's fake. It's like, I can't think of a better word. Theology. Christian theology. That's a better word. There we go. That sounds better to me. I don't feel awkward about calling it that anymore.
I think that's the correct
Raiders
term.
of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade are based off of Christian theology. Is that what made it better? Is that what made it acceptable? And that's why aliens were too outlandish. It's like, Anyway,
all I'll say is I actually didn't know. People may have thought that the first one may have been fantastical, but all I'll say is for those people who think that, you probably shouldn't play on any of the Indiana Jones games because they're even weirder.
Oh yeah. Is it one based off of Atlantis?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Atlantis is in one of them.
Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
Yeah, I knew it had something to do because it's actually in the title.
Yeah,
that's great.
I never played it.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny because when LucasArts went under, well, they didn't go under. They were shut down by Disney. It's not the same as going under. When LucasArts closed down, I remember in the like the 5 years following, there was all these devs that used to work there that came out and told all these different stories, and they slowly trickled out over time. I found it funny that one of the stories that these developers told is that at one point they were working on making a new Indiana Jones game, and it was going to be really innovative and stuff, storytelling and gameplay mechanics. And then at E3 2007, Naughty Dog unveiled Uncharted, and they looked at the game they were making, they looked at Uncharted, and they looked at the game they were making, they looked at Uncharted, like, okay, they beat us to the punch. We can't make this game anymore because people are going to call us an Uncharted ripoff.
Which would be ironic.
Yeah, well, I mean, Uncharted, that's the irony in of itself, because Uncharted is a ripoff, and I use the term loosely, in quotes, ripoff of Tomb Raider, and then Tomb Raider is, again, using the term loosely, a ripoff of Indiana Jones. But then, even then, Indiana Jones is again, use the term loosely, ripoff of these old adventure serials from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So it's like nothing. When you think about it, nothing's actually original.
Yeah, that's the thing, really.
So
and using the term as loosely as is it called the racist? Whatever those awards, they are like, these are like the worst movies and everything and all that.
Right.
I thought they used a pretty loose term.
We gotta capture a command post. They're about to clutch. They're about to clutch this.
Boy. Yeah, let's clutch this.
I'm going to B.
Rush B. Wait, where's B? I can't see.
The one over in the corner by our spawn.
Oh wait.
Command post is contested.
So, Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah. Objective failed. No.
No.
We were so close. So yeah. So continuing on with the discussion of the teaser is that we see Kylo Ren absolutely demolish someone with the end of his lightsaber, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
You know, with one of the cross guards. We see someone that it doesn't look like Kylo Ren because there's hair on their arms. There's a lot of hair on their arms. So some people are thinking it's Chewbacca. I don't think it is, because Chewie would have more fur covering his hands, and just from what we saw, it didn't look like there was enough there. But someone's fixing Kylo Ren's helmet that he smashed in The Last Jedi. Another thing that Last Jedi haters will go, oh look, J.J. Abrams is retconning The Last Jedi. Oh, so annoying. So one of the most interesting things about this teaser for me is that there's a quick shot of an A-wing crashing. You can see it on fire and it spins out of control, and then after that, then it cuts to someone, presumably Leia, holding either Luke or Han's medal from following the Battle of Yavin. And when you look closely at the shot of that A-wing crashing, what is behind it when it is crashing is an Imperial era Star Destroyer. The bridge is the same. When you look at it, the bridge is exactly the same. You can see Come on, let me spawn. There we go. You can see that there's the I don't know what to call it. The grooves on the hull are the same, and but then there's an interesting wrinkle to where it looks like there's red paint on it. So it begs the question: what are we seeing here? Is this a flashback to perhaps the lighting? If it's a flashback, the lighting of the scene would make me feel that this is a flashback to the Battle of Jakku.
Yeah.
Because which we haven't actually seen in a film. Of course, we've seen it in books and Battlefront II 2017, which we're playing right now, thanks to the campaign.
Yep.
But we haven't actually seen it in one of the movies.
And technically Star Wars Battlefront 2015 as well.
Yeah, because of that one map.
Yep.
Then of course there's the. But then the red paint is the big question mark there, because it's like, okay, so what does this red paint signify? Does this mean that because the Empire that fought at the Battle of Jakku was also very different, so to speak. It's like they had almost formed a cult at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shut it down. I shut down the bomb.
Nice.
Someone stopped it before they rearm it. So they had almost formed kind of this cult to a degree. So it begs the question. It's like, and I think in the last Aftermath book, it's been a couple months since I've read it. Maybe even over a year at this point. But I feel like maybe it mentions that some of the Imperials had painted and decorated some of their ships and stuff. So it's like that would be in line with. Oh my gosh, Darth Maul just threw me off. Oh, I'm alive.
Oh, boy.
I can't jump back up though, huh? So maybe it's possible that the Imperials would have painted the hull of that of their Star Destroyer, and so then that's why it's at the Battle of Jakku. Or it's not a flashback, and it's from presumably the climax of the film, and the Resistance has found this old Imperial class Star Destroyer, and oh, what a surprise! Anakin has gotten first place, and they have painted it up to have Resistance symbols and stuff on it, and that's why there's red paint. So lots of interesting questions regarding that.
Yeah.
So that's the most interesting shot in it for me.
I hate to interrupt, but I think it's time to quit out from Galactic. No, wait.
Yeah, it's probably wise.
Wait. Is it called Galact? No, it's called
Capital Supremacy.
Capital Supremacy. Have I called it Galactic Supremacy this entire stream?
Once or twice, yes.
Okay.
I don't think on before the stream you definitely did. I'm not sure if you have on the stream though. So.
I feel so dumb now, but yeah, we're switching over to Galactic Assault because while Capital Supremacy is fun, as we said, the matches can be quite long. Plus, we also don't want to just play the prequel era, even though I feel that's probably the best for Battlefront games. But we want to celebrate all of Star Wars, just like Star Wars Celebration. So I'm just gonna go through a little in my loadout. So continue where I interrupted.
Yeah. So then we see a chase on a desert planet. A lot of people are thinking. A lot of people are thinking it's either going to be Jakku or a lot of people are leaning more toward Tatooine because of the mountains, and Jakku doesn't really seem to have any mountains. It's basically just dunes. But based on behind the scenes pictures and some shots that they showed at the panel, I am wondering if they go to what remains of Jeddah from Rogue One.
Huh.
Because oh yay, my specialist is now completely maxed out in terms of star cards. Everything's purple, so I just need to level up one more time, and my classes will be completely maxed out.
Nice.
So because of that behind the scenes thing, I'm wondering if they go to Jeddah for whatever reason, just because of the people we see there. I don't know, because the only thing though is that in now it would have been a while, but Jeddah was revisited recently in the mainline Star Wars comics, and of course we do see it fall. Oh, great, sweet, because we're talking about the sequel era.
Yeah.
And we do see it following the strike, the Death Star strike on Jeddah City, and the destruction it left. And that moon is not doing good. It's, there's all sorts of cosmic, there's all sorts of seismic quakes and stuff, and there's also, it's like there's field floating around in orbit, and all of, it's not doing well. But 30 plus years, like 30, 35, 36 years after that, I mean, potentially maybe it's stabilized somewhat, and the population has kind of become what it once was. Possibly. I think that could be a possibility. So just because of the behind it, or it could be a new planet altogether, although I think a fourth majorly sandy planet would be a little excessive at this point. So I'm just because of the behind the scenes stuff we saw in tandem with the teaser, I'm thinking I'm leaning toward Jeddah, but I could be wrong. We'll see when the film comes out in December.
Yep.
So of course, we see kind of a little skiff battle going on between the First Order and members of the Resistance. We see First Order rocket troopers flying and chasing after them, which is cool. So I wonder if they will be if they'll essentially be their Battlefront counterparts that we see in this game, or if they will, or if they'll be utilizing a new design which will then get transferred to Battlefront. That'll be interesting to see. And then of course the big moment at the end of it. Oh no, Loka comes at the end of the trailer when when we see so this and the thing that happens afterward are really, and most likely what these are.
Yeah.
But these really raise the biggest questions.
Yes.
Is that we see a chunk of one of the Death Stars resting on, the destroyed debris of one of the Death Stars resting on this planet, and then it cuts to black, and then we hear the cackle, the unmistakable cackle of Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious himself, and then it cuts, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, releasing December 2019 in a theater near you. So, that was close. So let's back up just a moment and talk about that Death Star chunk. Which Death Star is it? Is the biggest question. Because a lot of people are assuming, and I feel like probably rightfully so, because of what we hear immediately afterward, it is a chunk of the second Death Star.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
However, just from what we've seen, the planet they're on doesn't look a whole lot like the Force Moon of Endor. I hesitate to call that Endor, because it's like, from what we've seen, of course, now I am saying from what we have seen, but of course, when you look at an overview of the planet or it's not even a planet, it's a moon. When you look at an overview of the moon as a whole, there's much room for there to be any large area of ocean. Of course, what was that? Was that a... Yeah, that's what I thought. It was Leia's Trooper Bane blast.
Rip.
Yep, rip me. So of course now, if a chunk that large of the Death Star 2 did happen to land on Endor, then there would... there we go again. There would be a large crater left over because of the velocity of which it landed on the moon. So then that could, I feel like feasibly would create a large depression, which would then over the 30 plus years since the destruction of that Death space station, then which could potentially create kind of a sea or a large river or something. I feel like that could be possible. But I think what's more likely is that if it is indeed the Death Star 2, then that chunk of the Death Star drifted through space before getting caught in the gravitational pull of another planet, and it has ended up resting there. I think that's more likely. But we'll see. So of course, either way, no matter what Death Star it is, that could still be the case. No matter which one it is, it's like, well, the chunk drifted through space and landed on another planet. If it's the first. If it's the first Death Star, then it could also be on one of the many moons of Yavin, because of course Yavin has 4 moons, as we know, because the Rebel base was on Yavin 4.
Yeah.
So it could be on moons 1 through 3 on one of them if it's the first Death Star. But of course everyone's leaning toward it being more of the second Death Star, because immediately afterward we do hear the laugh of Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Following the trailer being shown at the panel, and Palpatine laughing, and then it cutting, and it cutting to the title, and we get the title announcement. If there was any doubt left over whether or not Palpatine was going to be in this movie, a spotlight shines on the stage at Celebration, and there is Ian McDiarmid himself, the actor who plays Palpatine. And he's standing there with a microphone. He gives it about 30-45 seconds for the crowd to settle down, and then he raises the microphone to his mouth and says, "Roll it again." To which the crowd cheers, and he literally drops. Like, that's one of the coolest mic drops of all time. Then they play the trailer again. So if there was any doubt, Palpatine is in this movie because Ian McDiarmid is there. And of course, JJ then later said in an interview, yes, he's in the movie. So of course I think this is really the biggest question. The most interesting shot for me is of course that moment with the A-Wing and the Imperial era Star Destroyer. But the biggest question 100% is, to what degree is Palpatine in this movie?
Yeah.
Because people already argue that the fact that the First Order is a thing undercuts the ending of Return of the Jedi. If Palpatine somehow survived Return of the Jedi, which there's a couple ways I feel like would be feasible for him to have survived. That thing, it's a literal laser beam, but it is a laser beam, that Trooper Bane from Leia.
I've been killed by it once, and I just see it like flying right at me while I'm so zoomed in with the sniper. Just go like, oh no.
Yeah, that just happened to me. I tried to move out of the way, but it didn't work. So the idea of Palpatine having survived does really kind of undercut the ending of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And it does kind of sort of create some problems in canon that they're going to have to explain really well.
Oh yes.
Because if Palpatine is alive, where has he been for the past 35 years? Why did he not try to reclaim his empire? Yeah, it's like it raises more questions of who the heck Snoke is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like and stuff like that. So if he's not alive, then to what degree is it's like because the thing is as is in canon. Oh, Han Solo's here too. As is with current canon, Darksiders cannot become one with the Force the way a light side user can, and become one with the both the living and the cosmic force, and then retain their consciousness after they die, the way that we've seen Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin do. Of course, there cannot be a Vader Force ghost, but there can be, as we saw, a Anakin Force ghost, reappearing to Anakin the way he was when he was truly Anakin Skywalker, and not his demented self, Darth Vader. So, what? I was totally in bounds. What was that? I still had 2 seconds left. Come on, game. Anyway, so if Palpatine, but the thing with Darksiders is that their spirit can sort of kind of live on as long as they're tied to an object. So it's possible that we see a Force Ghost from Palpatine, but he can only haunt the remnants of the Death Star 2, which I think is feasible. Yeah. Because we've seen that as much with Darth Bane in the Clone Wars.
Yep.
So it's like Palpatine being able to do the same thing with the Death Star 2, I think is very much feasible, and it would be interesting to see. And it'd be interesting to see Kylo, maybe. Of course, we see our heroes in front of the remains of the Death Star 2. But I think it'd be interesting if Kylo is there trying to seek Darksider knowledge, and then they track him there and they follow him, just wipe out the Supreme Leader of the First Order, and then maybe it would crumble under its own weight. Because when Kylo is stabbing that guy earlier in the teaser, people are speculating that is a Knight of Ren. Because of course the Knights of Ren are mentioned in both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. They are seen briefly in The Force Awakens in that Force vision from Rey. So it's assumed that they were part of the massacre at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple. And no, you don't, Yoda. I'm gonna step on you. And so the fact that they've kind of been conspicuously absent, even though they keep getting mentioned, is kind of something that people have complained about. Rightfully so, I think. It's like, why do you keep mentioning these guys when they never show up? They are mentioned they've been mentioned several times, but they have not really appeared in any canon form at all. There's not even a book following their exploits. Now I can't remember if this is a fan theory or if it's something JJ has said, because depending on what people say on the internet, it can actually legitimately be hard to keep up with something that JJ has actually said and what people have said he said. So, but somewhere, take this how you will with a grain of salt, whatever. Someone somewhere has said that the Knights, whether this be official or being something someone has theorized, that the reason we've not seen the Knights of Ren so far is because Kylo had sent them off on a different mission during the events of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So we'll see if that's the case, and if we see him fighting and killing a Knight of Ren in this teaser trailer, as people are speculating, then it seems like maybe they come back from their mission that Kylo sent them out on, and they realize, and they come back and it's like, whoa, dude, you killed our leader? That's not cool. And they try to create their own. They kind of get their own following of First Order goons, and everyone's more expensive in this mode. I forgot about that. And then you kind of have some infighting in the First Order. That could be interesting. Yeah. So it's possible that Kylo would then go and seek out other Darksider knowledge to kind of further cement himself as the true ruler of the First Order. Who better to seek out than the ghost of Emperor Palpatine?
Yep.
The Sith Lord that created the Empire. So now and then from there, JJ and Kathleen Kennedy have been very cryptic when it comes to this, but they have kind of alluded to the idea that to tie these three trilogies together, it does make sense to bring Palpatine back in some way, because he's the reason the first two trilogies happened in the first place.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, he's as integral to the Skywalker saga as the Skywalkers themselves.
Yeah. So for him to appear as a Force ghost and be haunting the Death Star 2 remnants, I think would be fine.
Yeah.
If they want to go a step further, it would be possible. And I think this could be a reason why they didn't show who was actually piloting
Power generator down. Moving on.
the TIE fighter that Rey was flipping over. I think it's possible that Palpatine, because he's no ordinary Darksider, he was Darth Sidious, one of the most powerful Force users to ever live. So I think it would be possible for him to possess Kylo. For him to possess Kylo and then be able to leave the Death Star remnants. I'm not sure how other people think about that. It's feasible for them to do. And that's all speculation, so we'll see. So yeah, that's kind of the last. I almost call it the Last Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker, in a nutshell. And then of course the title. Then it raises more questions. Who is Skywalker? If Kylo is possessed by Palpatine, and then when he becomes unpossessed at the end of the film, then does he vanquish the Sith Lord for good? He completely expels him from the Force, and Palpatine is gone once and for all. And then does Kylo become redeemed and return to the light, and then accept the name Skywalker, even though he was born Ben Solo? Is Rey actually going to be retconned into being a Skywalker somehow? Questions. Is Rey going to call her new Jedi Order the Order of the Skywalkers? Is that's what is and so the Jedi are no more, but the Skywalker lives on? Is that what it's going to be? There's that question. I've kind of come up with a theory of a sort of common middle ground to where people that don't like the idea of Rey being related to someone important, to the people that do like the idea of Rey being related to someone important. I've kind of come up with a middle ground where they're both happy or they're both mad.
Oh no.
So consider this. Shmi Skywalker. The Skywalkers, like any family, are a family that exists outside of just one lineage.
Yep.
Of course. Unless of course the family then gets whittled down over time to just a single line, and then it eventually dies out because then because oh no, we're on Geonosis. I gotta change up my and we're on Galactic Assault Geonosis. I gotta change up my appearances to Phase 1. Dang it. Who do I choose? So, yeah, let's go with Wolfpack for them. And keep the 41st Elite. Okay. Alright, that'll work. So, I feel like it's possible, because of this fact, that Shmi Skywalker could have had brothers and sisters. And so, from these brothers and sisters, that Anakin, unbeknownst to him, of course, had cousins. And so, these cousins then would be having their own Skywalker children around the same time as the original trilogy and stuff. And then by the time we get to the sequel trilogy, there would be Skywalker grandchildren that then could become Force sensitive. And I feel like it could be possible that one of these Skywalker children would have moved out to Jakku and had then not lived such great a life, had found a mate and had a child that they would have named Rey, and been a nobody, and then they would have died in a pauper's grave trying to, after selling their child for drinking money, trying to leave the planet, and leaving their daughter an orphan, unbeknownst to her, under the guise but her thinking that they had left the planet. And so Rey is indeed actually a Skywalker, but she comes from a portion of the family that really weren't anything special after all. And she's really the first one from that line of Skywalkers to be Force sensitive, because there's an imbalance, and the Force did need someone of the light to face the darkness. I feel like that at the same time would both satisfy people in both camps or also make them furious.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like, I'm not sure what I would think of this, because I don't know, it seems maybe a little bit convoluted way to make her a Skywalker.
Yeah. But because the whole thing of Rey being a nobody, I think, and of course we talked about this, is that Rey is 100% a nobody. She's not given a last name, not because they're trying to. This is my thoughts on it anyway. She's not given a last name because they're trying to keep who her family is a secret. It's because she literally has no family. It's like, and I think this is another thing that made people angry with Solo, is that it's not that Han didn't exactly have a last name. It's just that, as he said, I don't have a people. I don't have a family or anyone. So who do I? Yeah. So it's like what? And so then the guy's like, he's on his own. He is Solo. So in the same, and this is one of the reasons I love that in Solo, is because it does kind of help with when watching Force Awakens and see why Han takes a shine to her very quickly. Is like, I see a little bit of my younger self in this kid. Yeah. Is that she is alone. She has nobody. Like, I had no one before I found Chewie and Luke and Leia, my wife. So Rey being a nobody, I think it is better if she is 100% a nobody. She does come from nobody parents, but the Force called upon her to have a greater destiny than she or anyone else could foresee for her. Much in the way that if you only watched A New Hope, it would seem that it would be that way for Luke. Before you know the twist and everything. So I would much prefer that. But if they have to make her a Skywalker, I feel like the idea of her being a descendant of one of Shmi's siblings, I think is a nice middle ground, because she still belongs. And that's the thing, her last name, whatever it may have been, may not even have been Skywalker, because as people get married and stuff, they change their last name. So it's like her last name could be Rey Smith, but you trace her lineage back far enough. You see that her grandfather was the brother to Shmi Skywalker, or something like that. It's like, did no one get in this ATTE? No one got in this ATTE. All right, this is mine now.
Interesting.
It's just sitting back here. Okay, so I mean, again, I prefer her to be completely a nobody. But if they have to make her a Skywalker, I feel like that would be the best middle ground to do it. Because if you straight up make it, no, Kylo was lying to her, and Luke was lying to her the entire time, and not revealing the truth during the events of The Last Jedi, then I think you really alienate a certain group of people. And of course, when you're telling a story you want to tell, that's always a risk you're gonna take. I'm alienating a certain amount of people that may not like this decision.
Case in point, The Last Jedi.
Yeah, case in point, The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson told the story he wanted to tell. It's just a lot of people didn't like the story he wanted to tell. So The Rise of Skywalker has the potential to kind of be to have those same issues. But I don't know. I mean, but I'm hyped for the first time for one of these sequel movies. I'm actually hyped. They've been doing their job pretty well so far. So we'll see how it turns out. And I'm sure here at December we'll have another Battlefront II game night or weekend at Loka's or something, and we'll definitely be discussing it.
Oh yes.
So
Yeah, I'm in full agreement on the hype thing, because up until the episode 9 panel, I didn't. It's like one of those. I'm definitely looking forward to episode 9, but I wasn't feeling any hype because nothing had been shown of it. I mean, that kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
Even though I
was in the same boat.
Yeah, even though I'm a big Star Wars fan, but
it's Star Wars. That's all. It's new. It's more Star Wars. That's always exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely one of those. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it as a Star Wars fan and as someone who likes the sequel trilogy, even though I suppose you're not supposed to or something. But yeah, since there wasn't any trailers or anything showcased, it's kind of hard to get hyped up for, like, well, anything really, which we will also get to after episode 9 talk. But when I started watching the panel, I was starting to like be really excited, like, yeah, drop the trailer and let's hope this is good. And even though I missed it live, I still had it pretty much the same experience of the first teaser for any of the other Star Wars hasn't got me like super pumped, but this one like really got me on the hype Star Cruiser immediately and jumped to hype light speed.
Hype speed.
Yeah, hype speed.
Hyper speed.
So yeah, yeah, that's. I'm not sure I have anything else to add on that.
That's sort of kind of the Rise of Skywalker in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So I guess now we should. So we're starting to run out of time here. It's 2:45. The Clone Wars panel starts at 3:30. So I guess we'll not to steal hosting duties from you here, Loka. I'm just giving you the time check. So I guess, and granted, there is a lot to talk about in that case with the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And even though it's still exciting, there's less to talk about when it comes to our next topic, which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
So take it away then.
Yeah, speaking of things that has me excited, well, more like interested in, but not like, oh, I'm super hyped for this well, at least up until this point, because it was I don't remember when exactly we learned that Respawn was making a Star Wars game, but I feel like that was ages ago. But it wasn't until EA Play last year where we finally got an announcement, even though it was really just the title of the game.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, but now we've actually not only had a trailer, but had a whole panel, which this one I did manage to see the trailer live. I wasn't able to see the entirety of the panel, but I saw a majority of it. And yeah, it's called Jedi Fallen Order. You play as a Jedi after Order 66. Seems to be... I'm not sure what the exact timeline is, but at this point the Empire has been established. They have stormtroopers.
If I had to guess, I would say a couple years, probably no more than 5, but probably no less than 1 or 2, because we see stormtroopers, we see TIE fighters there dismantling Venators in that trailer.
Yeah.
For salvage, probably presumably to help build their Imperial class Star Destroyers.
Yeah, and
but it's still early enough that you see a lot of Clone Wars related wreckage pretty easily. For instance, the main character Cal Kestis, he actually picks up a it actually picks up a hollow emitter from a dead clone trooper, and it's not just a skeleton in armor. There's actually still some substance left to that corpse. So, of course, we're assuming that this is later. That could be directly after Order 66, and he's trying to figure out what's happened, and he's had to kill this clone trooper. I don't think so, but I mean, that's a possibility. So
yeah, and we also saw the second sister, who's part of the something
Inquisitorius.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen Star Wars Rebels yet, so I don't really know what all that means, but I think I might try to catch up on it before Jedi Fallen Order, because apparently they've been hiding the some of the stuff shown here, like in some Darth Vader comics, like with the
so the second sister. So the second sister and and the Purge troopers that follow her and help the Inquisitors out.
What they're called.
They have been in these Darth Vader comics, but for the last couple months, but they were actually created for this game.
Yeah.
So they've been introduced to us through the comics, but as a primer. But they are created for this game, so I think that's actually really cool that they kind of seeded that before to kind of give us a slight introduction, so they're not completely new, and we kind of have an idea who they are when it comes to actually playing the game. Because of course the idea that she's an Inquisitor isn't completely foreign to Star Wars people at this point because of Rebels.
Yep.
But she is still a pretty new character. So
yeah.
So I think we'll be learning a lot about her in the game, since she's most likely going to be our primary antagonist. But oh, I'm dead. But goodness, it's so weird to see all the heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, hey, look at that, Phase 1 ARC Trooper.
Hey.
Haven't seen these guys in combat yet because I've been playing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the main bulk of the trailer. And like, speaking of hype and such, this is also one of those kind of weird things, at least for me, in that I'm looking forward to the game. I'm definitely excited after actually having seen anything from the game. At the same time, at the same time, it's also one of those. Well, what was shown in the trailer wasn't like. I mean, these are all things that one was may have been leaked or hinted at. Like the whole it's a Jedi hiding from the Empire after Order 66. We already knew that, and that was essentially what the trailer was all about. So it was kind of one of those. Well, there wasn't anything that I'm not sure how to put it. Like, there wasn't anything that made me go, "Ooh, that looks like really interesting. Now I really want to play this game." But as I said, I'm definitely very interested in the game, and also worth pointing out how I said couldn't really be excited for Episode 9 before the trailer came out. With video games, it's kind of
the opposite.
No, it's kind of a two-parter in the sense that well, obviously I want some sort of trailer similar to the trailer we saw that kind of shows what the game is about. And but before I can get really excited, I also need to see some gameplay, because it is a video game after all. So it's one of those.
That's really my worry with this game, is that there was a leak a couple days ago. This seems to be Respawn's marketing strategy. is that they have a new game ready to come out, and then they leak, and then they themselves leak in quotes details of it to kind of get those that are really curious in the know.
Leak it to me. Leak
So,
it to me.
Yeah, so because they did the exact same thing with Apex Legends, is that they brought in all these content creators and streamers to play it, and then they told them to keep quiet and not tell anyone, and then it seems like they leaked the fact that the game existed. So so yeah, that was so now it seems like they're doing the same thing with Jedi Fallen Order. So the thing with this game is that, according to the leak, is that the game the new to the new FromSoft. This is such a weird title for a name for dev studio. From Software. That's literally the name of it. From and Software. And so then they make Dark Souls and Bloodborne. So then their most recent game is a game called Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. And so since that's new, apparently those that have seen the gameplay or Respawn themselves are saying the gameplay is similar to that. I have never played a Dark Souls game or anything similar to that, but from what I've seen, it's not exactly my cup of tea. So
yeah,
the idea that a Star Wars game is, so the fact that a Star Wars game is going to have that gameplay has me worried, just because it's like, am I going to find this fun? Is it not going to be for me? Of course I'm going to get it either way, but I'd hate at the end of the day to say, as much as I enjoyed the story, I didn't like the game overall because the gameplay just wasn't for me. I would hate to have to say that. I hope that's not going to end up being the case, but I could see a scenario where it kind of is the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've kind of just got caught off guard because just saw a message from Sushi asking if we're still going, which
yeah,
we are.
Yeah, we are, but not for much longer. So is it really worth?
Yeah, I'm gonna just answer that. Yeah, we're still going. We're still going, but not for much longer. And we will see. Yeah, I haven't played those games either. I'm not like when people say similarities, do they just mean in the way the game is played, or that the game is like really hard
to
play?
I think what it means is just in terms of gameplay at all. It's like it's very melee attack focused. There's not as much of emphasis on the Force.
Yeah.
As because a lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to be a spiritual successor to the Force Unleashed. Well, not really, because you're not really going to be using the Force all that often in the game. It's gonna, which makes sense. Honestly, makes sense to me. Because it's like, it's after the Great Jedi Purge, you've got these Inquisitors trying to hunt you down. You're going to want to use the Force as little as possible, because as shown in that trailer, essentially what causes the Inquisitor to show up is the fact that Cal Kestis used the Force to save the life of a coworker. Yeah, it's Anakin Skywalker. Ow. He used the Force to save a coworker from dying. Because it's just that shit. He was a Jedi Padawan. It's in his nature. That's what. That's what he was trained to do. So he just kind of instinctively reached out to the Force and helped save him. We assume that's what the trailer leads us to believe.
Yeah.
And it seems like oh no, Skywalker again. And so it seems like that the Imperial probe droid probably recorded that, and then that alerted the Inquisitorius. So now he's on the run. So of course it would make sense for them to not use Force powers as much as say in the Force Unleashed, because when that was the perfect title for that video game, the Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, was the Force Unleashed in those games? I mean, honestly, I think one of the reasons because when Disney bought Lucasfilm film, they pretty much kept everything George had a direct hand in helping create, with the exception of The Force Unleashed, because Lucas was pretty involved in The Force Unleashed.
Oh.
Because he wasn't as involved because most of his time was spent on Clone Wars for sure. But
yeah.
For those that are too young to remember or just aren't really aware, in 2008 there was these two big media pushes for the new era of Star Wars, of what, of course, at the time was supposed to be the new era of Star Wars that kind of got canceled short or got canceled early. So the Clone Wars was going to be and ended up being, and as we know it, as it is now, was the new storytelling. The new storytelling. I don't.
Boy, that's a lot of clones.
It was going to be it was going to be the new method of how Star Wars stories were told, essentially, for the most part. In terms, it was Star Wars was not going to be in the movie theaters anymore. It was going to be on TV, and that was going to be the Clone Wars, and that was how we were going to. And then, of course, at the same time, Lucas was always working on his never Star Wars live-action TV show that remained in development and just never happened. They tried to get it off the ground 2 or 3 times, and it just never happened. But now it's happening because we've got The Mandalorian coming out. Of course, to say that, hey, to say the Star Wars live-action show is finally happening, I'm not sure is correct to say, because sure, we are getting a live-action. Actually, we're not just getting a. We're also getting the Cassian Andor and K2SO Disney Plus show as well. But so yeah, we're getting live-action shows. But for it to be what Lucas envisioned all those years ago, we're not, and we never will get that. I don't think. Yeah. Besides that, though, besides the point. So while Lucas was heavily in, Clone Wars was going to be the big, hey, let's start moving Star Wars to television, and then we're also going to be exploring the medium of video games a little bit more. And so then the first kind of push initiative for that was The Force Unleashed, and because Lucas, I think, gave them, again, going back to our conversation about story treatments, Lucas kind of gave them a story treatment or an outline or something for The Force Unleashed. And it's like, here's kind of how the story's going to go, here's our characters, here's how they'll interact and stuff like that. And it's going to tell the story of how the rebellion was formed. And then, of course, you guys can kind of go from there and make the gameplay whatever it needs to be to make it as fun for what people want to play. You'll choose the actors. Of course, I get final say on everything because I'm George Lucas. So that's just kind of how everything was at the time. So Lucas was involved in the production of The Force Unleashed. But when Disney bought Lucasfilm, again, we still don't know the specifics of what was in that contract. Yeah. But the fact that the Clone Wars is still canon wasn't just completely wiped. I think there had to have been some sort of clause in that. Hey, Disney, I'm letting you have my company, but Clone Wars has to remain canon. You can wipe everything else out. You have to keep the prequels. Anything I worked on, you got to keep. Yeah. But they got rid of The Force Unleashed for whatever reason. And I think part of the reason they did that is because some of the Force powers in that game were just kind of so outlandish. It was like, Starkiller was so overpowered. He was ridiculously overpowered. Let's not forget that. Yeah. I mean, as fun as those two games were to play, because of how overpowered he was, it's not exactly something that fits in Star Wars canon because of how... because, sure, the final bosses of both games were Vader, but the things that you saw Starkiller do were things that were way beyond anything we ever saw Vader do, whether it be in those games, in the movies and stuff. So it's just kind of, it would be this weird contradiction of saying, oh yeah, Palpatine and Vader are two of the most powerful Force users in the galaxy, but there's also this one guy that was around, and even though he was stronger, it seemed like he was stronger than them. He still died. They killed him. So okay. So I can kind of see why The Force Unleashed was removed from canon and is counted as expanded universe material. Oh my gosh, we're just absolutely. What's with this Anakin? Is he? There we go. Finally. So we were just pouring blaster bolts into him, and nothing was happening.
Yeah, I would have found it like going back a little bit to similarities to FromSoft games. I would have find it hard to believe that Disney would actually have greenlit a game that is super hard, because that's not something you can sell to the mass market, so to speak.
That's not something. If a 10-year-old can't play it,
yeah.
Because that's another reason I don't think we'll ever see 1313, and I'm not sure 1313 in the original vision that they were talking about, I'm not sure we ever would have seen that anyway, because it's like, there are franchises that are typically known as family franchises that you can dip into the R-rated territory with. For instance, Marvel is one of those where of course this is X-Men, but Logan being R-rated, I think was absolutely the right choice. But I still haven't seen it, but just because of how brutal it is. But from everything I've heard, like the movie's fantastic, partially because of the story and because of how brutal it was. So and then that helped make it as fantastic as it was. But so I was like X-Men, of course, with Logan, things like that. It's probably better to go Deadpool, of course. Deadpool's better as an R-rated. Deadpool's actually a better example than Logan because because say what you will about the other X-Men films, Wolverine was still pretty accurate depiction, even if in all things considered. Even though you didn't see him literally rip people's heads off with his claws. Deadpool, of course, we saw what happened when they turned Deadpool PG-13. They literally sewed his mouth shut. So, obviously, Deadpool being R-rated was the better choice. Disney even knows that because they've said that more Deadpool movies will get made, and they'll remain R-rated, because let's not forget, Disney now owns 20th Century Fox.
Yes.
It's not just a hypothetical anymore, it's reality. I think we touched upon this a little bit in a weekend at Loka's or a PSN TTV community stream a while back. It's been a couple weeks at this point. But, yeah. So, that's the thing we have to deal with now, unfortunately. But, Star Wars... Marvel, sure, in some instances you can go that direction. Star Wars, I don't think... I mean, you can go dark with Star Wars. Empire is a pretty dark movie when you think about it, because Clone Wars can get very dark.
Yes.
And I think it works very well when it gets really dark. But there's going dark, and then there's going R-rated.
Yep.
Because, of course, Star Wars, for all intents and purposes, is a realistic universe. There are some... I would call it questionable things that are kind of brought up as just kind of a side note to in the movies. For instance, the soul creation and existence of the Twi'leks. Of the Twi'lek race in Return of the Jedi, like that's a big one. That kind of gets into some murky, very gray territory. That some of the books, like what was it? Lords of the Sith. A novel. That was a novel that came out. It featured a very good novel too. Well, I wouldn't say very good. It was a good novel. I was a little disappointed in it because the whole hook of the book is that Palpatine and Vader are shot down over Ryloth, and Sham Syndulla and his Twi'lek freedom fighters are pursuing them. It's like, oh, that sounds awesome. But that was really only the back half of the book. The first half it had some pacing issues, unfortunately, which to where the first half was them just getting to Ryloth. But it was fun enough to read and to see the build-up. But the second half of the book seems very rushed because of that. Granted, that may have been the best way to tell that story. Anyway, but one of the characters in that book is one of these Twi'lek freedom fighters and she helps Twi'leks that are less fortunate, let us say, and that are in some precarious situations. So it's so some of the, not exactly detailings, but just kind of suggestions of what line of work they're in. Of what those Twi'leks, the line of work those Twi'leks are in, so to speak. Let's say, kind of gets to the very edge of PG-13.
Yep.
Oh
yes.
And so and it's like I think that's fascinating to go as an adult, as a 21-year-old. I think it's fascinating to explore that area of Star Wars to a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree, I don't need it's like to kind of. To say that this is this character's backstory, they were a Twi'lek slave, and it's like, and they weren't just a dancing girl, so to speak. It's like I think that's a very interesting backstory. It's like, and I don't think there's really a character at this point that is actually in canon anyway. That's actually like that. I'm just kind of giving an idea for a character description, but that's a compelling backstory. We understand what that means, but I don't think we actually need to. Oh, the ion charge. That thing's brutal. But we don't really need. We don't need a whole series or a whole game exploring that area of the underworld, so to speak, to every little gritty detail like 1313 seemed to do. Granted, they said, and even then just from what they've said, we assumed that 1313 was going to be rated M for mature. I don't think they ever said it was going to be rated M for mature, and that they just said that it was going to be darker, it was going to be grittier, it was going to be more realistic, it was going to be Boba Fett learning how to be a bounty hunter. I think they probably still could have gotten away with a T rating on that game. And if it had been made, I think it probably would have still ended up with a T rating. Just for the sole purpose of, how do you market for mature audiences only Star Wars thing? It just doesn't really work, in my opinion, because for when I was younger, that was it's like, now Martin. Let me clarify something, because I've just confused myself in my own head thinking of my rebuttal here. Oh, hello, Jump Trooper. Is that there's marketing marketing something more for adults, and there's marketing something for mature audiences, if that really makes sense. Because for instance, the expanded universe, because let's think back to like 2008, 2009, when I was first starting to discover the expanded universe. I remember for the first time going into a bookstore and seeing these novels, these really thick novels, sitting on a shelf at a bookstore, and going, "Oh, hey, Star Wars books! Wow, these are really big Star Wars books." And saying, "Hey, can I get one of these Star Wars books? Look, there's a clone trooper." And it's like, "Oh, this is a Republic Commando book. Isn't that a video game? Hey, I'd like to read a book based on this video game." And I was told no, because it was meant for adults. And so that kind of sat with me a little weird. Like, wait, so it's like, what is this, an R-rated Star Wars thing? Is it like the movies I'm too young to go see? Is like, what does that mean? Of course, reading them later, the Republic Commando books sure dealt with some more mature themes, but if you have a kid that's mature enough, like I was, because, like I said, this was 2008, 2009 when I first saw those books on store shelves, and I was initially told no. It was not long after that I did actually manage to get my hands on them. So I would have been in 5th grade. Yeah, that sounds right. I was in 5th grade. So I was in 5th grade, but granted, I was a very mature 5th grader. I've always been a little more mature than my peers. So
same.
So I was, of course, able to handle those books and kind of be able to digest those themes. Because at that time, Clone Wars was just getting started. The Umbara arc was not a thing. It wasn't even being conceptualized at the point, I don't think. because they were probably only working on season 3 at that point. So the idea of clones debating whether or not they're real people, what does that mean? It's like, are they people? Are they slaves? These kind of mature themes that would be touched upon in the Umbara arc a little bit. What do they have any value as people? Stuff like that. The Republic Commando books touched on that long before the Clone Wars did, and that was one of the reasons that I fell in love with Clone Wars so easily, because it did very quickly start to show clones as these actual people, and not just, as much as I love it, Clone Wars 2003 kind of more or less just showed them as really awesome warrior wet droids.
Yeah.
That really didn't have emotions or anything like that. I mean, clones would scream in pain if they got shot.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they were just kind of these stoic individuals. And honestly, most of up until the Republic Commando novels and the Republic Commando novels and the Clone Wars, that was actually really how clone troopers were treated. Because you look at like the Dark Horse comics from the time, those Clone Wars comics, Alpha, ARC Trooper Alpha is a big example of that. He was very much just kind of this stoic soldier. It's like no emotions. I'm just going to get the job done. And of course, that's kind of how Rex started out, because Rex was originally modeled after Alpha. He was actually originally supposed to be Alpha 17 from the comics, but they decided not to go with that because you would have had R2, Anakin, Ahsoka, Alpha, A, a lot of A names, a lot of A names. So they decided to change it to Captain Rex, and then he's been a fan favorite ever since. So I think one of the reasons Rex is such a fan favorite is that he did start out very stoic. I'm a soldier. I have a duty to the Republic. I'm going to follow my orders to the letter. But then over time, you start to see that mold start to crack a little bit, and he starts to think to himself, "What is a soldier? Do we as clones have value as people?" And you really start to see that first with the season 2 episode, "The Deserter," where he meets Cut Lawquane and his adopted family.
Yeah.
And it's like he's got a wife, he's got these 2 stepkids that he helps look after, and these stepkids, they don't have any problem. They outright call him Dad. It's like they don't care what his past life. This is the guy that is not their biological father, but he is now. Really? We were just the droids. Oh well. Yeah, so annoying. But they don't care that he is their dad. And so Rex, and it's like, as Rex says at the end of the episode when asked if he's going to turn and cut Lawquane, he's like, "I'm sorry, I have a duty, but considering my injured state, I'm probably not going to remember any of this."
Yeah.
And so he doesn't turn and cut, even though he maybe should have. And so then you fast forward to the Umbara arc, and it's like, that's one of the reasons he butts heads with General Krell so much, is that he does have this conflicting ideology of Krell, where Anakin sees every individual clone as a man, as a human being, someone with purpose and value. Where Krell is just like, all right, here's these people for me to send into battle to die as I see fit, to the point where I'm going to engineer a scenario where they kill each other.
And not just the men, but the women and children too.
So yeah, that's really, and then you really start, and then you see Rex start to break from the mold, then from the other clones, and then of course not just Rex, but then we also see other clones start to follow suit, like Fox. Really bucks the trend so much that he discovers that he legitimately uncovered the Order 66 plot. Yeah, and he got killed for it. Palpatine had him killed off. It's like, man, if you didn't hate the Manowans prior to the Clone Wars already, from how they were portrayed in the Republic novels and stuff like that, you really hated them after that Order 66 arc, because because of the fact that they just went right along and helped Palpatine. And the thing that really makes it, that there was no malice. There was no malice of like, oh yes, I'm evil. Whoa, ha, ha, ha. They were just like, hey, we're getting paid. We're getting paid. Let's do what the employer, let's do what the employer wants, and that was it. We got to keep this secret because Tyrannus told us to. So okay, that's fine. We'll keep the secret, and that was it. That was the most thought they put into it. Was we're being told to keep this quiet, so we'll keep it quiet. So, I mean, all those very mature ideas and stuff that I applaud Clone Wars and the Republic Commando books for looking at, but while they are mature themes, I wouldn't say that those are themes that should be exclusive to adults.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's stuff that kids, if they're old enough and they're mature enough to really consider that and think about that, they definitely should be, reading those now non-canon novels or Loka, or be watching those episodes. Because those are interesting things to think about and stuff like that. All right, let's rush him as commander. Let's see how that turns out. So while and that's the thing. It's like with 1313, going back to getting off of that getting out of that rabbit hole and really getting to what spawned the discussion is that it's like would 1313 really have been an M-rated Star Wars game? Like a lot of people were, for some reason, wanting, or would it have been just a more mature rated T game that dealt with some themes that maybe not every kid was ready for at the time? So, but those that were that. But then, as they got a little bit older, they could then play that game and digest themes. Because that's one of the reasons I really hope we someday see the Cad Bane training Boba arc from Clone Wars that got canceled because of the show getting canceled, because of the fact that it's like because there's a because people are like, oh, Boba Fett's so cool, Boba Fett's so cool, Boba Fett's so cool. It's like, what did he do in those movies, though?
Yeah.
Episode 5, I was like, okay, admittedly, Boba Fett talks back to Darth Vader. That's pretty awesome. Not many people get to talk back to Darth Vader and live to tell a tale. But other than that, he told someone to put Han Solo in the cargo hold of the Slave One. And then he fell into the Sarlacc pit in episode 6. And then of course in Attack of the Clones he was a kid, and then everyone's like, oh, him being a kid ruined his character. How? What character? What character did he have? What are you talking about? Sure, expanded universe. There was a lot of stuff that kind of explored the idea of who Boba Fett was in the expanded universe, but as Clone Wars, I think, kind of proved, and well, even Attack of the Clones kind of proved, is that the only canon up until Disney bought Lucasfilm, the only actual canon Star Wars stuff that existed was stuff that George Lucas directly had a hand in. He had no problem with letting people play around in his universe, but if he looked at a concept and thought, here, I like that, I'll just change it and do it the way I would do it, then, well, that's the way he would do it, and then that would be it's like the Mandalorians, for instance, are a big example of that, to where he made them pacifists. Yeah. During the Clone Wars, it's like that was I remember watching that first episode of the Clone Wars season 2 arc where it introduces Mandalore. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to be seeing Mandalorians and they're so awesome. It's like, oh wait, the peaceful man. What is this? These aren't Mandalorians. And then it's like, wait, the Death Watch are the bad guys, so that rings true, because Death Watch they're not really even true Mandalorians. They're more like just thugs and thieves using Mandalorians as a cover for the idea that they're Mandalorians as a cover for organized crime. But But these what's going on here? It was such a. I don't want to call it a slap in the face because that kind of presents the idea that it was a bad. I have of course since come to accept that change. Even though, and it's like the one person that didn't come to accept that change was Karen Travis, who just couldn't finish the last Republic Commando book because of that.
Oh yeah. But I remember,
which I'll forever be sad about. But because it's like that last book ended on a cliffhanger. We're never really. I mean, she gave us the outline on her website. It's like, here's how I was going to end it, but it's like, we're never actually going to get that last book, so it'll forever be a cliffhanger. Very upsetting, but so of course I've come to accept that change. But that was a big thing at the time. But the thing, so I was like, if the Mandalorians had been solely peaceful, and the Death Watch were only shown as these are bad guys, and there'd never been any growth or development with them, then I would kind of be thinking more along the lines of, oh, young Boba Fett completely tarnishes this character. But, okay, we see where they start off, but then there's growth. There's change. We do get more of this. Like, with the Mandalorians, we see that they eventually relapsed becoming more warrior-based after Maul takes over, and then we see them in Rebels, and they are more militaristic again, to where we really see that while Dash Satine was popular, there was still a very significant portion of the Mandalorian populace that did want to kind of stick closer to their warrior traditions. They didn't really want. Oh, that's a lot of droids. They didn't really want to be pacifist, but they just kind of went along with it. Because if the Mandalorians truly wanted to completely be pacifists and never go back to their warrior ways, they never would have chanted Vizsla's name whenever he, air quotes, saved them from the Shadow Collective.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they were fooled, but it's like they were obviously willing to accept that warrior past again. And then, of course, when we see them in Rebels, they're very much back to their clans. Everyone's wearing armor again and stuff. It's like Sabine grew up in an era, very much grew up in a post-pacifism era, where being seen as a warrior was a noble thing, and Lady Bo-Katan was seen as the rightful heir, that was the rightful heir, was the rightful ruler of Mandalore, and Gar Saxon was this imperial stooge. So it's like very, very, very interesting stuff. So it grew, it developed. That's one of the reasons I have come to accept that change, because I think it's an interesting story. Young Boba Fett, same thing. Sure, it wiped out whatever character he did have, but I think this idea of giving, of course, there will be people that'll agree with me. Yeah, of giving him this tragic backstory, where his father was a bounty hunter, and he's the one pure clone of Jango Fett, and then he watches as he's beheaded by a Jedi. And it's like that's Pajamas Dooku. We got Pajamas Dooku.
Oh.
running. Ah! I've been electrified.
I saw that. And there he goes. Pajamas
and then Boba, and then Boba learning how to be a bounty hunter from former associates of Jango, whether it be Aurra Sing or Hondo Ohnaka or Cad Bane later. That's all very interesting stuff, because but of course we don't have the end of that story because Clone Wars got canceled.
Yep.
So I still want to see that, because if we see the ending to that story, then I think that could really give Boba Fett lots of cool character, and then I think we probably need to be seeing some other material with featuring him like in the in between era. in between the prequels and. Oh, speaking of Boba Fett, here he comes.
Uh-oh.
because even then, okay, we know how he was as a child and how he grew up to become Boba Fett. But okay, so that's great. He grew up to be Boba Fett, but who's Boba Fett? We still don't really know what then he did as a bounty hunter, unless he just always kind of remained as he was when he kind of just kept that persona he had when he was younger. So
yeah,
lots of interesting stuff. So as we're fighting for our lives here on Camino, I'm noticing that it's 3:29, which means that the Clone Wars panel starts in about a minute.
Uh-oh.
So
let's rush this through. Do you have anything else to add for Jedi Fallen Order?
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about, wasn't it? Granted, we pretty much said all there was to say about Jedi Fallen Order. It's coming out. It looks interesting, but there's just so little information on it right now that there's not too much to speculate on. So it's like I think we said our piece on that. It's fine. So yeah, Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Idea. Do you want to maybe we log out of here, but we keep the main menu open? Maybe we do a live reacts to the Clone Wars panel and kind of stream our live reactions.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. That could be interesting. I just need to.
Because I'm pretty sure I can keep my PlayStation on and just be in the party, and I can hook up my computer to the TV, and then I can watch it on that, and then we can just sit here and talk while it's going on. It's going to be starting in a moment now. So, and so that way we can actually be talking about the Clone Wars panel during this stream.
Yeah.
So
and I can I'm not sure how I'm gonna solve this audio-wise, but I can watch it on my iPad and have the game.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. For those watching the stream right now, it's probably they would have to open up the stream themselves.
Yeah.
In another tab.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking more of like trying to figure out the audio so I can hear both you and the stream.
Right.
But yeah.
So I guess so. Right now it looks like they're interviewing Junis, however you say it, the new Chewbacca, however you say his name. But they're probably going to be cutting to Clone Wars here any minute. So
it's not showing up on YouTube. Oh, is it on the day 3 Sunday?
Yeah.
All right, because I was getting a little bit concerned because I know they had a whole separate stream for the Mandalorian, which we didn't get to talk about.
Yeah, which was odd.
Granted, I'm not sure there's much to talk about since I wasn't able to watch that panel, and B, apparently they blacked out the stream for anything that actually showed things.
They're like, hey, we're gonna show you a behind the scenes reel, but only the people in the room. If you're not actually here and you're watching online, too bad, so sad. You're not gonna see anything, and we're just gonna hope that people don't record this on their cell phones and put it up on YouTube later, which is 100% what happened.
Yeah, and so, I haven't actually watched any of that. So yeah.
There's. We know a couple of the characters that the other people are playing. The Mandalorian still is just only known as the Mandalorian. He doesn't have a name. Actually, I think it'd be cool if he doesn't have a name. If he's just the Mandalorian. Kind of like the man with no name, old Clint Eastwood Western thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. One, because of the concept, and two, because it's the first live-action Star Wars TV show. Which, as we said, hasn't happened until now.
Right.
So yeah, I fired up the stream on me iPad.
This will be over pretty quick, and they're still with Chewbacca. So hopefully by the time this is over, they'll be ready to go.
Yeah. So this turned out to be a pretty different weekend at Locus, because we got both game and...
I just got ravaged by 5 commando droids with their vibroblades.
Ouch. So yeah, we're getting a whole new type of weekend at Locus with both gameplay and kind of live reaction to the Clone Wars
we lost.
panel.
Oh well, too bad, so sad.
Well, I was barely paying any attention at this point because I'm like, I'm trying to figure out all of this. So yeah, now there isn't actually... well, if you're watching the VOD, and I would recommend firing up the Clone Wars panel VOD if you want to see what exactly we're reacting to. Otherwise, it's just gonna be us reacting to things. So it will be a little bit of a weird one. Uh-oh, what's happening?
It looks like there's the potential that they're not streaming it.
Oh no.
They did this with the Rebels panel yesterday. They didn't actually have it on their show.
Yeah, you're right.
They put it up later. Because apparently Ben Walk, the community manager for Battlefront 2, is in attendance, and he's tweeted out that it's starting.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not seeing any.
Don't do that to us. Come on.
Please.
More than this, with the exception of the episode 9 panel, this is probably the panel everyone wants to see most.
Yes, I wanted to, for sure.
Okay, hold on. It looks like Carboni may be saying goodbye. Let me switch over the input on my TV. This should still work. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Before we go to the next panel, he says, so that... Okay, so they may just be starting a couple minutes late.
Oh, let's hope that's the case.
Okay, I'm gonna close out of the game and then just get into the party. So I don't have to hear Dooku's lightsaber hum over the panel.
Yeah,
alright, there we are.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lower the sound. Otherwise I'm gonna go insane.
Alright.
So, yeah, if they are actually streaming it, the Clone Wars panel, this will be interesting. Granted, I wasn't exactly toying with anything like this, but I was kind of not necessarily toying with it, but just like thinking of different ways I could, or different things I could do with Weekend at Locus that.
Okay, here we go. They're starting.
Oh boy, yes. That may not necessarily be related to.
I was about to say, because Carboni's even wearing a Ahsoka Tano t-shirt, so he's wearing an Ahsoka Tano shirt. So it's like that'd be weird if he's just standing out there wearing that shirt and they don't actually stream it. So, all right, it's going. Right,
porgs. No. What they're called again? I forgot those.
Yeah, they're porgs.
Porgs. That's the one. Yeah, it says Clone Wars sneak peek. Oh, are they starting right away?
Oh! Trailer right off the bat.
Wow. Okay, I can't hear.
It may just be a recap.
Yeah, that seem yeah, it seems to be some sort of recap.
I'm sure we'll be seeing some new footage though.
Yeah.
So since this is just a recap, really, I'm really wondering who they're going to get to play Palpatine if he appears, which I'm sure he will in the last season, because of course for seasons 1 through 5 he was voiced by a guy named Ian Abercrombie, but he died unfortunately.
During
production.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, so then for season 6, well, for most of season 6, whenever Palpatine appeared, he was played by Tim Curry of all people, who I didn't really think it was cool. It was cool to know that Tim Curry was in Star Wars, but it's like, his Sidious voice was actually fine, but his Palpatine voice was not good. I didn't think. But they actually got Ian McDermott to do Palpatine in the Emperor in Rebels, so I'm wondering if they'll get him back for the last season of Clone Wars. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that seems fairly likely.
Yeah, because that last episode of Clone Wars there that they showed up a moment ago with Palpatine versus Yoda in the Force Vision, that was Tim Curry.
Yeah, that
was a recap.
Yep.
But still, I'm so hyped.
Yeah.
Warwick Davis.
Hey.
Look at the tiny desk they gave him. Oh yeah. I am.
We are. Well, we all are. Maybe I should see if I can update the title of this, because we're doing live reaction to the Clone Wars panel. We're not actually playing Battlefront 2 anymore. Why? Okay, that's weird. It's not showing up.
Oh! Is this?
Wait, what?
So these two right here, dressed as Obi-Wan and Satine, I wonder if these are the two cosplayers that James Arnold Taylor married.
He married two cosplayers?
Because there's two cosplayers that always cosplay as Obi-Wan and Satine because they're Obi-Wan and Satine, and so then they were a couple, and so they had James Arnold Taylor marry them. So I've seen him post about it in a couple places. So I wonder if that's them. Which would be a good reason to have them up there in those special seats.
Interesting. Okay, this is where my stream isn't showing up anywhere.
You're going to be within a couple feet of Ashley Eckstein. How does that make you feel? Nervous?
Aw.
That dog is probably really overwhelmed with everything going on.
Weird. My stream shows up when I search my username, but it's not among my videos.
Well, that's because it's still live.
Well, it does show up, not right away, but it does show up in my videos. Oh well, not it's a big deal. Yes, indeed, he did. Indeed to that too. Well, I mean, he's not wrong. Don't know whether I would say he's one of the most popular. At least not before Clone Wars.
Yeah, Maul was always an interesting character because Whitwer's there. I'm surprised Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor aren't there. They may be introducing them later because I'm pretty sure James Arnold Taylor's there.
Uh, Dave, Dave Filoni is sporting his
Dave
hat as
Filoni.
usual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had it at the Mandalorian panel earlier.
Wow.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love that every time we see Ashley Eckstein, she's always wearing something. She's always modeling something different from her clothing line. So, like today, she's got some sort of jacket with like just a small little pattern that's obviously from Ahsoka's head tails. Oh, now this is interesting. I'm just now noticing this stream is called Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 6 Sneak Peek.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Huh.
I'm going to put that in the chat.
That's weird. In before the lost missions are decanonized.
Oh, no, they won't be. But it was like maybe this is like going to be the second half of Season 6.
Either that or they're just gonna call it.
Going to call them the Lost Missions and not a season at all.
Which I mean, I suppose that makes sense, but still, I would kind of make it feel like the Lost Missions were more like a side thing, but which it definitely is not.
Yeah. Here we go.
You know it's good when even the voice actors wanted to be brought back.
Yeah.
and I'm kind of ashamed to have to ask, but who is it who's talking? I'm not sure.
This is D. Bradley Baker. This is every clone trooper.
Okay. I didn't catch his name.
It's funny, you wouldn't know that he's the clone trooper just by listening to him.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who he was just from his voice, but I was like, no, I can't.
Ooh. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Does it? This feels like a trap. It's a trap. Look at Dave. He lowers the hat. This is amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dave's sitting over there in that chair. Look at him.
The way he's shaking his head.
Yeah. More mall. More mall is always good.
Ah, so that's who it is.
Yeah, Sam Witwer.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't catch his name either at first.
That's actually a really good impression of Dave. Oh. Tell me what? One plus one equals two.
Yeah, I heard that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because that's all they can handle. Everything is needed to know.
Oh wait, am I behind on the?
No, you're ahead of me.
Whoa.
I can hear the echo. I'm hearing things happening on your end just a little bit before I hear them here. Sam Witwer. For those of you that don't know and you're thinking Sam Witwer looks familiar, he's also Star Killer in the Force Unleashed games, going back to our conversation earlier. So.
Oh.
Wait, you didn't know that?
I think it's one of those things I've heard and then like archived somewhere in my brain, and then I didn't recover it.
Yeah, they used his face as the character model as well. They did perform it. That was one of the early games to do as extensive mocap and performance capture as they did. So it was up there with Uncharted and some of the others that did. It's like all the cutscenes were mocapped.
You know what was awkward? When I first saw Sam, I actually for a second thought it was. Oh no, I forgotten his name. The CEO from EA.
Ah.
I don't remember his name now, just because. Like,
does anyone really want to remember the CEO of EA's name?
Unfortunately, I have to Google it because I can't stand Andrew Wilson. That's the name.
Okay, so they are doing Bad Batch.
Is that the one that was unfinished?
Oh, there they are and rendered and everything.
Oh. Oh. It looked like a mix between Clone Troopers and Warhammer 40K. Clone Marines! But Bad Batch, was that the one that was
Rescuing the Echo?
What?
Hmm.
Well, they look cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about them, but just the armor it makes me interested.
Yeah, I've got that 4-episode arc is still up on the Star Wars website.
Oh, I've been meaning to actually get around to watch them, but that didn't happen.
Greedy.
Yes!
Alright! Don't black out the live stream this time.
Oh, thank thank Lord I was getting afraid there.
Alright. Ooh. Oh yeah!
Oh, Rambo confirmed to be clone trooper. Oh, he's strong.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're all four of them are genetically modified.
Oh, okay, so that's their
Oh, it's
thing.
so good. Oh, they're using the old. Oh, it's so good to see all this animated. The battle droids are actually slightly different. They're like a combo of the original design and the Rebels design.
Poor droid.
Oh, this is so great!
I can't believe
It's
I'm
also been
witnessing
forever
this.
since. It's also been forever since I've watched this too.
Even though I didn't watch that, I still think watching that was really really great. Wow.
Well, we better see some Ahsoka in this panel.
Yes. Otherwise there will be riots. Well, that's understandable.
Interesting. Interesting. So we're not getting the monkey boot.
The what now?
For the original version of one of these stories, we had Ahsoka in kind of these, regular looking clothes, and there was a boot that had, and one of her boots had a monkey, like a lemur, painted on it because Dave, said I want to put some sort of decal on one of the boots. What animal would you like, Ashley? And she said a monkey.
Huh.
Trickery work. very much. Well, it's obvious from what we knew from before.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Another clip?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, another clip. Roll it again. All right, what are we getting to see? Is this Ahsoka? If I had to guess, since they were just talking about that.
There she is.
Oh, there she is! There's our girl! It's been so long! Oh, the lighting and everything is so... Because this is pretty much identical to what we saw a couple celebrations ago when it was in animatic form, but to see it in the finished animation and the lighting, oh man, this is awesome.
Oh, so they've showed the...
Yeah, we've seen this before.
Oh, okay.
But of course, it was an animatic. It wasn't finished animation.
Yeah.
This is finished animation.
Oh, that's neat. Was that for the Clone Wars? Remember?
The Legacy panel, I think it was called.
Yeah.
I dare say the art style looks better now than it did back then.
Yeah, I fully agree. Whoops.
It's a little jarring, but yeah. So the thing is, this story's been retooled. So in the original version, she crashed here and met a guy who then they said she kind of ended up having a thing with. But now she's meeting two twin girls. So, So now she's meeting the two twin girls. Definitely retooled.
Yep.
Woo!
That was awesome. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Don't even tell us. Just show us a clip.
Yeah.
Formerly Darth, now just Maul. Let us see. Ooh! Oh! It's his solo outfit! It's his solo outfit! Oh! Are you sitting down? Oh boy. Yep, that's Maul.
Yeah. That's an apt comparison.
Maul is secretly one of the most well-developed characters in all of Star Wars, and no one ever realizes it.
Unfortunately, yes. Because they don't watch the Clone Wars or Rebels.
Time for a clip?
Clip time. Yeah? Yes! No. Oh.
Concept art. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Hey, Lady Bo-Katan! Woo! Yeah!
Ooh.
Yeah, see, here's the original storyboards he drew that we've seen before. Yeah! What a ride it's been, man. Ooh. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Ooh.
seen that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Clip, 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 clip. Ooh.
Hmm.
Are we gonna need tissues?
Here we go. Brace yourself for heartbreak and tears.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, now I finally understand why the helmets are painted orange and have those markings.
Yeah, Dave's talked about this before.
That's totally a Captain.
Sure thing, Commander.
That's 100% a Captain Rex thing.
Yep. Yes. Yes. Floaty.
Ooh.
Yes, I knew. Because James Earl Taylor and Matt Lanter and Catherine Tabor were all there, so.
There they are.
Yeah! There they all are! Oh, listen to that music.
It's so glorious.
Oh, the gang's back together. So hold on. What if they show the trailer at the end of this, and they reveal Ian McDermott is playing Palpatine in the show, and then he comes out at the very end. He goes, "Roll it again, again."
That would actually be a perfect way to kind of bookmark the whole Star Wars celebration thing this year. We're starting with the Senate and we're ending with the Senate.
Hey, there it is.
Oh, that's great. That's so great.
I want to give each of them a hug.
Yeah, he's the only one I can hear on the voice right away that he's Anakin.
Not even Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka?
Oh yeah, her too. That would be crazy if they did. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Dave, stand up and take your standing ovation like a man. That's another thing I love about Dave Filoni. Is whenever anyone compliments him on how well he writes Star Wars, he says, "Well, I learned from George."
Yeah, that also makes sense. Well, I think that was good since they made an actual character out of him.
Yeah.
Outside of the outside of that one scene in Revenge of the Sith.
Trailer. Trailer. Trailer.
Trailer. Trailer.
Oh.
Yes. Do it.
Trailer. 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 Yeah. He's got more shots now.
Oh.
Trailer. Trailer.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to be coming through this later. Oh.
Them feels.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yep.
Actually, she's not, because this is going to save her life.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Lucasfilm. Ahsoka's theme.
I mean, she's not wrong. Avenge the Fallen.
Yeah, the battle droids are definitely different.
You'll never see any Jedi around here. It's not safe down here. Things could have gotten messy for you.
Pikes.
Whoa.
That's why I've got my ship.
Bo-Katan. Oh, the Velociraptor droids.
Velociraptor droids?
Uh-huh.
I'm 100% digging that.
They're blue. Maybe a little better.
Yeah. And oh, he's back. I think that's the
Yeah,
same guy
Trench.
anyway.
Trench was in these episodes. I forgot about that. They stole a gunship? That's rude.
Huh.
Double-bladed. Oh, look at those sabers in the crowd.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was a great trailer.
No date.
Oh.
poster.
Ooh, that's a
What's
neat
it look like?
looking
Show
one.
us. Oh yeah!
Oh, I'm kind of jealous.
I'm very jealous. Roll it again.
But we don't have other things to do. Yes.
Some game.
Yes. I don't even care that I just watched it a few seconds ago.
Yeah, let's watch it again.
Yes.
Something I wonder if they changed about the art style because it is slightly different.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell that with the battle droid design. Because old Clone Wars definitely, because this was something that people complained about. I remember when it was like when the movie was out and the first season was airing, is that everyone was like, "Oh, it's so angular. It's everything's square. There's a like, and you look at the faces. At the time, it certainly was that way because it was early animation. But
especially
now everything
Count
looks
Dooku.
a little, yeah. But I was like, look at Ahsoka here. It looks much more like because even the one that we just saw a minute ago. Oh, the super battle droids are even different. They're a little more rounded.
Interesting.
Because we just saw Rex's face, and then it cut to showing Fives when he died. There was differences there. They definitely are new. Well, I mean, they said as much, but I mean, they definitely have tweaked the designs a little bit to make them look a little more. I don't want to say realistic, but I don't want to say stylized either.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because look at Ahsoka there. That's definitely different from Season 5 Ahsoka. Maybe a little better. See, Anakin's face is different too, a little bit.
Yeah.
And they've just made slight tweaks on all of it.
Yeah.
Something I'm noticing about this trailer too is that it's so cinematic. I mean, Clone Wars was always cinematic, but a lot of these are looking like shots you'd see straight out of a live action film.
Yeah. They really upped their game here.
People were always upset, and of course they would be upset with the Clone Wars being canceled and Rebels coming to take its place. But I think them working on Rebels has actually done them some good for this final season.
Yeah.
They've definitely learned a couple of new tricks from Rebels that they're able to throw in here. Because that move where Ahsoka jumps into the gunship and kicks those super commandos out. That was very more Rebels than movement than
Oh, I really need to watch Rebels.
Clone Wars.
And cueing the music.
Oh yeah. No date though.
That's a little bit disappointing.
Of course, I just noticed Dave's wearing a jacket that says werewolves. Of course he would be wearing a wolf's jacket.
Well, that was the Clone Wars panel.
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. If a bit unorthodox for this.
Okay,
stream.
so according to the patron chat, it's looking like at some point, either during the panel or it's been said somewhere else, that Clone Wars is going to be a Disney Plus launch date.
Oh yeah, I was.
So then that'd be November 12th.
Yeah, I was.
I didn't hear them say. Maybe it could have been when we were talking, but I didn't hear them say that it was going to be coming out with the launch of Plus.
Yeah, me neither. But I kind of assumed it would be released with on the Disney Plus release. But I mean, well, that's reassuring at least to have a release date for that.
Okay. Well, so we've been going a lot longer than we anticipated.
Yep. Very unorthodox.
Yeah, whenever your stream stops, whenever your stream goes up for the archive, I might grab just this bit and put it with the panel just so we can have our reactions.
Oh, that would actually be pretty cool.
So, so what were you on the Battlefront 2 menu the entire time? What were you on?
Yeah, I was on the Battlefront 2 menu because
so we might have a little bit of Dooku lightsaber in the background.
Oh
but...
no, I turned the volume down.
Oh, did you?
Volume.
Okay, well that's great then. So it'll be better. So it'll definitely be better than my end because I've still got the PS4 menu theme going on loop because I'm just in the party. So.
Yeah. So that won't be able to be recorded, and I didn't really know what else to do on my end because I didn't want to break the stream or anything.
Oh, that's a cool looking white Death Trooper helmet. We haven't seen that white before. That looks sick.
Huh.
Okay, so I think this is a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, so that was not only first stream in a while, and not only Battlefront 2, including Capital Supremacy gameplay, but also a live reaction to the Clone Wars panel at Star Wars Celebration 2019. That's hitting a whole bunch of check marks and then some. That was above and beyond what I was expecting when we started the stream. So yeah. If you somehow made it to this end, because this was a very different stream, but it was an interesting one anyway. So I was joined by Apprentice 1215. Take it away with the plugs.
Yeah, so plugs. I'm of course another YouTuber. I do brick films, video game content, and stuff like that. This past week, I did some Ninjago stuff. I reviewed the Monastery Spinjitzu set, and then that Friday, I uploaded a top 10 seasons of Ninjago video. Probably ruffled some feathers with that one. Not that I've seen any comments so far, but I think I may have put some controversial opinions into that one. So if you're a Ninjago fan, I recommend you check that out. It could be interesting for you. Also do Lego stop motion. That's my primary thing, but I just do other stuff on the side to keep the channel updated because they take so long. The last 3 episodes of Bionicle Reiterated are coming soon. That should be. I'm not going to promise anything, but I am going to say that hopefully the 15th episode of Reiterated will be going up on the 26th of April. There's totally nothing else going up on that Friday that would distract people from watching that episode the moment it goes up. But I mean, I can't think. There's not some sort of great big 10, 11 year culmination superhero event that's going up that day at all. I don't think. But
you're getting it on that day.
Yeah. So of course, I'm not promising that's when it's going to go up. Hopefully, it will go up on the 26th. But just in case it doesn't, well, at least I'm not going to be competing with Endgame. So.
Meanwhile, the theatrical release over here is the 24th.
Oh, you. Well, I mean, technically speaking, in the U.S. it's the 25th because Thursday night showings. But semantics.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's all very exciting. I hope if you guys enjoy any of that sort of content, then you can head over to my channel and and check that out. As per the usual, Loka, I had a blast. This was really fun, very different, but a very fun time nonetheless. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was definitely, as I said, unorthodox. It ended up being, but also, as you said, a blast because Battlefront 2 is a really fun game, especially playing with friends. So to since I haven't done anything YouTube-wise in a while, I'm getting back into things now. I can say right away that I'm not sure which day, but next video will be a only in Rainbow Six Siege video, which is a compilation of clips from the Rainbow is Magic event. Since
oh gosh, that was when we did that for the TTV PSN one. That was quite the that had quite the ending. Honestly, I couldn't think of a better ending for that stream. Even though I was actually kind of glad it was a little shorter because of how funny that ending was. It just added to the April Foolsness of it all.
Yep, which you can also see if you head over to Apprentice 1215's channel. It's right there. And a kind of quick announcement and quick decision that I made earlier for next stream. I actually have no idea what I'm gonna play because I realized, wait a second, Easter is next week, and that's I don't know how Easter is celebrated in the US, but here in Sweden we have it as a bit of a longer weekend, to put it that way. So I thought, wait a second, maybe I'll do a Easter at Loka's, even though I'm panically thinking, wait, what could I actually play that would be Easter related, and I have nothing. Because
that's the thing. It's like unless you were to play one of the Rabbids games, which I don't think even exist on this current generation of hardware. No, there's not really anything like Rabbit or Easter related to play, so that is a problem. But I think there's a certain blue and red arachnid themed superhero that would be good to play.
Oh boy. Yeah, because I'm still not finished with that game.
At this point, it's just bullying. At this point, I'm just bullying you to say, hey, finish Spider-Man.
Yeah, and now I'm getting super stressed out because I did a stupid thing and pre-ordered a couple of games because it was $10 off on a couple of ones, because I'm sort of a premium member on a I don't know, I don't think retailer is the right word, but a place where I can order video games, movies, books, and all kind of like. Think Amazon, but not exactly Amazon. But they've kind of had a couple of pre-order this game for $10 off, and it started with Generation Zero, which already was only $40. And I was like, oh, a game where I shoot robots in 80s Sweden and only for $30. Yeah, I'll take that. And then there were some other ones for what was it, like pre-order 2 games and get them both for, I think it was 10 bucks off again. So I'm like, oh, I'll pre-order Rage 2 and The Sinking City. And then they made a similar deal for Days Gone releasing pretty soon. And yet I was like, okay, if I at least get done with Metro Exodus before Generation Zero releases, that would be done great. Still haven't finished Metro Exodus. Still haven't started Generation Zero, even though it's sitting there like, hey, I pre-ordered this thing, but I didn't play it. And now I'm like, oh no, all the other games are just gonna pile up on me as well. So, yeah, that was a bit of a tangent, but yeah, Easter at Loka's. As I said, no idea what I'm actually gonna play, since they're, unlike Halloween and Christmas, there usually isn't any Easter related events or things like that, so it's probably just gonna be whatever I end up playing. Spider-Man, for instance, probably not a bad suggestion to think of it, even though I was like, man, I actually hope I don't have to make a issue 3, but okay, I just broke down now, because I'm like, everything has gone, like literally everything has gone sideways now, including the intro for this, outro for this stream even. So yeah, that
further emphasis on messing up the outro where you call it the intro.
Yeah, so that's what's coming up in the near future, and after that I'm hoping to get business as usual. So yeah, that was Loka.ex has stopped working, so I'm just gonna
You just want to end it?
So don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. You can also follow me on Twitter at LokaCola. A link may be in the description down below, hopefully. And I'll see you all next time. I hate how all ended up